Welcome to Tyla Walker Romance. You're about to dive into one of Miss Tyla's free full audiobooks. She always knows how to make you forget your life with handsome alpha male billionaire heroes and sassy strong heroines who grab love with both hands. In order for this content to be free, we have to take out the dirty details. Otherwise, we risk disrupting this platform's rules and guidelines. Buy the unabridged version of any Tyla Walker audiobook from TylaWalker.com, and with code SAVE40, you can get 40% off any digital product at checkout. Take this moment to subscribe to the channel, and remember that liking and commenting is what makes these free full audiobooks possible. Thank you for choosing to treat yourself with Miss Tyla. Chapter 1. Lori. The wind whips between the buildings, finding every gap in my coat. My boots crunch through patches of gray snow, dodging frozen puddles that gleam like mirrors in the weak morning light. 3 more blocks to Stone Hospital. 3 more blocks until another 12-hour shift of watching people struggle, suffer, sometimes slip away, too damn often. A delivery guy on his bike weaves past, the smell of bacon trailing behind him. My stomach growls, reminding me I forgot breakfast again. "Morning, Miss Lori," Mr. Singe calls from his newsstand. His breath forms little clouds in the frigid air. "Hey, Mr. Singe, staying warm?" "Trying. You want your usual?" "Not today." The thought of reading about more tragedy, more violence, more pain. It's too much this morning. "Maybe tomorrow." He nods, understanding in his eyes. "Take care of yourself, okay? World needs good nurses like you. Bless you, ma'am." The world needs more than nurses, I think, stepping around another pile of blackened snow. It needs hope, light, something to pierce through this endless gray. My phone buzzes, most likely another text from the hospital asking if I can stay late tonight. Again. My fingers are too numb to reply, but they know I will. I always do. Because behind every chart, every beeping monitor, there's a person fighting their own battle against the darkness. And sometimes, just sometimes, a gentle word or touch is all it takes to help them find their way back to the light. A gust of wind sends a newspaper tumbling past my feet. The headline catches my eye. City's healthcare crisis deepens. I pull my coat tighter, quickening my pace as Stone Hospital's imposing silhouette looms ahead, its windows reflecting the colorless winter sky. The automatic doors slide open, but I pause at the threshold. My reflection in the glass shows dark circles under my eyes that no amount of concealer can hide. 3 days since Nyla's arrest, and sleep feels like a distant memory. "Can't believe it was Neela," a passing orderly whispers to his colleague just inside the door. She seems so normal. My fingers curl into fists. Normal, like they know anything about her, about what really happened. The locker room is mercifully empty when I slip inside. Coffee splashes over the rim of my cup as my hands shake. My phone buzzes. Another message from Zara. "Any news?" "Nothing yet," I text back. "Visiting hours at 2. Coming?" 3 dots appear, then disappear. Finally. "Can't. Work." My coffee burns my tongue, but I barely notice. Some best friends we are. 1 in jail, 1 too scared to visit. And me? What am I doing? Standing here watching it all fall apart. "Hey, Lori." Dr. Jackson appears in the doorway. "You okay? You've been staring at that coffee for 5 minutes." "Just tired." The lie tastes bitter. "Long week." "I heard about your friend. If you need time off." "I need to work." My voice sounds like a gruff bark. "Sorry, I need to be doing something." He nods, his expression soft. "The police report came out this morning. They're saying, "Don't." The cup crumples in my grip. Please, I can't hear any more theories. Or speculation. Not today. The silence is oppressive, filled with unspoken questions. Because how do you make sense of this? Your best friend accused of murder and a family destroyed. There's no protocol for this kind of heartbreak. I stand, throwing my coffee cup in the trash. Rounds won't wait. We'll talk later, Dr. Jackson. I head to room 204. Mrs. Barber needs her morning meds. My footsteps echo in the quiet hallway as I check her chart one more time. How are we feeling today? I adjust her IV drip, trying to inject warmth into my voice. Better than you by the looks of it. Mrs. Barber's weathered face creases with concern. You're not sleeping. I can tell. I'm fine. The lie comes automatically now, like muscle memory. My daughter used to say that too, right before her breakdown. She pats the bed beside her. Sit. Talk. I have rounds to... 5 minutes won't hurt. She fixes me with that grandmotherly stare that brooks no argument. I perch on the edge of her bed, my clipboard clutched like a shield. It's just, a friend is in trouble, and I can't help her. Ah, the one from the news? My throat constricts. They don't know her like I do. The things they're saying. People always talk. Doesn't make it true. Mrs. Barber's plump fingers find mine, surprisingly strong. But hiding your pain won't help either of you. The monitor beeps steadily in the background. Somewhere down the hall, a phone rings. Life goes on, even when it feels like your world has stopped turning. She must be so scared, I whisper. Alone in that cell, and I'm here doing nothing. You're keeping her light burning. Mrs. Barber squeezes my hand. Sometimes that's all we can do. My pager buzzes. Room 318 needs attention. Back to reality. Thank you, I say, standing. For listening. Thank you for caring. She settles back against her pillows. The world needs more hearts like yours. I step into the hallway, blinking back tears. The fluorescent lights feel harsher now, casting shadows that weren't there before. Or maybe I just wasn't seeing them. I head down the hallway for a much-needed break, and it's only 10:30. My phone vibrates against the break room table, Alexander's name lighting up the screen. My heart skips as I answer. Hey, stranger, I say, sinking into the worn leather couch. There's my favorite nurse. How's the shift going? His voice wraps around me like a warm blanket, and some of the tension eases from my shoulders. Remember that time you got shot and I had to patch you up? How could I forget? Best gunshot wound of my life. Well, today's making that look like a vacation. I rub my temples. Lost 2 patients this morning, then had to tell a 6-year-old his mom isn't coming home. I'm sorry, Solnishko. The Russian endearment makes me smile despite everything. Want me to come by? I make an excellent distraction. You're supposed to be resting, and that bullet wound is healing fine, thanks to my personal Florence Nightingale. Alexander. I know, doctor's orders. He pauses. Tell me about the 6-year-old. I squeeze my eyes shut, seeing Tommy's face again. He just sat there, so quiet, like he couldn't process it. Then he asked if his mom was with the angels, and my voice cracks. You were there for him. That matters. Does it? Some days I wonder if anything we do here makes a difference. Hey, his tone grows serious. You made a difference to me. Changed my whole life, remember? Nearly got you killed in the process. Best decision I ever made. Ivan's bullet was worth getting out of that life. Worth being with you. Warmth blooms on my cheeks. Smooth talker. Only for you, Solnishko. Only for you. Hold that thought, Alexander says. Check your locker. My locker. Alex, what did you... Just trust me, Solnishko. I move across the room to the bank of staff lockers, phone pressed to my ear. If this is another one of your surprises. You love my surprises. Inside my locker, a cream-colored envelope sits atop my spare scrubs. My hands are shaking as I open it. How did you? First-class tickets to Paris? My voice rises an octave. Alex, I can't. Yes, you can. 2 weeks, just us. The Ritz, private tours, dinner at Le Jules Verne. The hospital? Already cleared your vacation time with Dr. Jackson. He says you need it. You went behind my back. I went above and beyond. There's a difference. His smile carries through his voice. You deserve this, Lori. After everything with Neela, Tommy, you need a break. I sink onto the bench, staring at the tickets. Paris, the city of lights, of love, of new beginnings. Valentine's Day in Paris, I whisper. You're impossible. Impossibly charming. Impossibly extra. Normal people give flowers. Since when have I ever been normal? He pauses. Say yes. Let me sweep you off your feet, just for 2 weeks. The ticket paper feels smooth under my fingertips. Real. Like tangible hope. Yes, I breathe. God help me, yes. That's my girl. Now about that packing list. Alex, I'm at work. Right. Saving lives. Being amazing. Go on then, we'll plan later. I tuck the envelope carefully into my bag, a smile tugging at my lips. Thank you, I say softly. For what? For making me remember there's still magic in the world. Always, Solnishko, always.
Chapter 2. Alexander. The February sun bathes Charles de Gaulle Airport in bright yellow light as we step off the jet bridge. Lori's face transforms, her exhaustion from the flight melting away as she takes in her surroundings. I'm moved at the sight of her joy, pure and unrestrained. Alex, pinch me. I can't believe we're actually here. She squeezes my hand, bouncing slightly on her toes. I wouldn't dare. I pull her closer, savoring the heat of her body against mine. Though I must say, your excitement is contagious. Listen to you, trying to sound all proper. She nudges my ribs playfully. I saw you smiling during the landing, too. A momentary lapse in judgment. But I'm also grinning from ear to ear. New York's shadows feel distant here, replaced by the promise of possibility in her eyes. A stream of rapid-fire French flows from the airport speakers. Lori's eyes widen with delight at the musical cadence. That announcement just made everything real. She inhales deeply. Even the air smells different here, like croissants and coffee. That would be the jet fuel and overpriced espresso. She rolls her eyes. So cheeky. Can't you just enjoy the romance of the moment? I am. I take my hand in hers, pressing it lightly to my lips. More than you know. The morning light catches the amber flecks in her eyes, and I forget about everything else. Family obligations, carefully maintained facades, the constant calculations, watching my back for the next ambush. Here, watching her drink in every detail with unguarded wonder, I'm simply a man taking the woman he loves to Paris. Come on. She tugs me toward the baggage claim. The sooner we get our luggage, the sooner you can show me the surprise you've been hinting about. The Champs-Élysées bustles with life as we stroll past gleaming storefronts. Lori's hand finds mine, her other hand clutching a small bag from Cartier. You really didn't have to get me these earrings. She touches her ear where she's already wearing them. I wanted to. Besides, They suit you perfectly. The pristine diamond studs catch the late afternoon light, illuminating her entire face. Look at that. She points to a street performer creating massive soap bubbles that drift across the boulevard. A group of children chase them, squealing with delight. Want to try? I ask. What, making bubbles? Why not? No one knows us here. She laughs. Alexander Popov, playing with soap bubbles, now that would be something. I'm full of surprises. I guide her toward a cafe with gilt-edged windows. Speaking of which, how about some champagne before dinner? Inside, crystal flutes catch the light. The maitre d' recognizes me with a slight nod. Everything's arranged exactly as planned. This is magical. Laurie sips her champagne, a slight flush coloring her cheeks. Though I have to ask, what's with all the mystery about dinner? Patience. I check my watch. We should head out soon. It's a short walk. The setting sun paints the city in shades of deep purple and rose as we emerge. Street lamps flicker to life, and the first stars appear above the Parisian rooftops. Close your eyes, I whisper as we near our destination. Alex, humor me. She does, allowing me to guide her forward. The maitre d' of Le Grand Véfour opens the door silently. Inside, hundreds of candles illuminate the historic restaurant, their light dancing off mirrors and crystal. Open them! Her gasp echoes in the empty restaurant. You rented out the whole place? Just for us. I pull out her chair. I wanted you all to myself tonight. Dinner flows like a dream. And afterward, we walk a short distance to board a river cruise, much to Laurie's delight. The Seine glitters beneath us, a ribbon of starlight winding through the heart of Paris. Laurie leans against the railing, champagne glass in hand, her face illuminated by the passing lights of ancient bridges and modern cafes. Did you see that? She points to a couple dancing on their balcony, their silhouettes backlit by warm yellow light. They're still in their dinner clothes. Perhaps they just returned from Le Grand Véfour as well. Unlikely. You bought out the whole restaurant, remember? She takes a sip of champagne. Still can't believe you did that. The look on your face was worth every euro. A street musician's accordion music drifts across the water, playing La Vie en Rose. Laurie hums along, swaying slightly to the melody. Her earrings catch the light, sending tiny prisms dancing across her collarbone. Want to dance? I ask. Here? On the boat? Why not? We have the upper deck to ourselves. She puts down her glass and steps into my arms. The boat rocks gently beneath us as we sway to the distant music. Her laugh, pure and unrestrained, echoes across the water when I attempt an impromptu twirl. Careful! I don't plan on swimming in the Seine! Don't worry. I pull her closer. I've got you. For a moment, everything else fades out of view. No family obligations weighing me down, no blood money staining my hands, no constant strategic maneuvering. Just Laurie's warmth against my chest, and her soft humming mixing with the accordion's melody. Look, she whispers as we pass under Pont Neuf. All those locks. Thousands of padlocks glint in the darkness, each one a promise of eternal love. We should add one tomorrow, she says. I gently kiss her temple, breathing in the subtle scent of her perfume. Here, in this moment, I can almost believe in such simple declarations of forever. The feel of Laurie's hand in mine triggers a flash. Another hand, limp and cold, a diamond ring spattered with blood. My father's voice echoes. Remember, Alexander, in our world, love is weakness. The memory of that night in Moscow clouds my vision, but Laurie's gentle squeeze pulls me back to the present. Where did you go just now? Her eyes search mine, too perceptive. Nowhere important. I lean closer and nip at her earlobe. Just thinking how beautiful you look in this light. Very cheesy. She smiles, but concern lingers in her gaze. You know you can tell me anything, right? Instead of answering, I pull her closer. The boat rocks beneath us as my lips find hers. She tastes of champagne and chocolate, her mouth soft and yielding. Her fingers intertwine behind my neck, and the past dissolves like mist in morning sun. Alex! She breathes my name against my lips. I deepen the kiss, backing her against the railing. The Seine flows silent and dark below, but all I can focus on is the heat of her body pressed against mine, the way she gasps softly when I trail kisses down her neck. Her pulse flutters beneath my lips like a captive bird, quick and delicate. Someone might see, she whispers, even as her hands slip beneath my jacket, her fingers tracing patterns that take my breath away. Let them. I capture her mouth again, hungrier this time, one hand tangling in her wavy hair while the other grips the railing beside her. Her quiet moan sends electricity through my body. We're in Paris, city of lovers, remember? She laughs, the sound vibrating against my cheek, sweet and real, in a way that makes my chest ache. Is that your excuse? Do I need one? My voice comes out as a low growl, betraying how much she affects me. Her response is lost in another kiss, and for blessed moments there's nothing but Lori, her taste, her touch, the subtle scent of her skin mixing with the night air. The silk of her dress whispers against my clothes as she arches closer. No blood-soaked memories, no family obligations, no constant weight of empire and expectation. Just us, wrapped in darkness and desire on a boat in Paris, while the city lights dance like stars on the river below.
Chapter 3. Lori. The Parisian night air nips at my cheeks as Alexander and I tumble through the door of the rented condo, a symphony of laughter and desire trailing behind us. The city of love has cast its spell, and in this moment, I'm utterly bewitched. Rose petals? Alex? This is over the top. Nothing's too good for you, sweetness. Alexander's hands find my waist. His touch electric even through the layers of my coat. I believe, he says, his voice a low rumble, that we have unfinished business from that river cruise. I meet his gaze, my own eyes dancing with mischief. Oh, and what might that be? I ask, already knowing the answer as I shed my coat, revealing the emerald silk dress that clings to my curves. He steps closer, the gap between us closing with a promise of heat. He leans down and captures my lips in a kiss that is all the answer I need. I hate to put a stop to a good time, but it looks like we've hit this platform's limit for spiciness.
This platform's got some rules we have to play by if we want to keep giving you these stories for free.
And trust me, this scene isn't something you want to miss.
While we can't get into all the details here, you can still dive into the full, uncut version at TylaWalker.com.
Miss Tyla has an entire collection of unabridged audiobooks and ebooks waiting for you.
And the best part? You can treat yourself with 40% off when you use the code SAVE40.
That's right. You'll save on any digital product, even bundles that are already discounted.
Miss Tyla would never let anyone feel the kind of disappointment you must be feeling right now.
So why wait? Treat yourself with Miss Tyla. We lie there, tangled in each other's arms, our hearts beating in tandem as we both try to catch our breath. Alexander brushes a strand of hair away from my face, his touch tender and almost reverent. My fingers trace the raised scar tissue on Alexander's shoulder, a permanent reminder of that night a few short months ago. The wound has healed well, but the memory of him stumbling up to me, blood seeping through his silk shirt, remains vivid. Does it still hurt? I ask, pressing gently against the puckered flesh. Alexander catches my hand, bringing it to his lips. Only when it rains, he says with a half smile. Or when beautiful nurses prod at it. I prop myself up on an elbow, studying his face. Well, things are different now, right? You're making changes. legitimate changes. I'm trying, he says, his fingers absently stroking my back. But the past, it has a way of holding on. Please let it go, I whisper, placing my palm flat against his chest, feeling his heartbeat strong and steady beneath the scar. You're not that person anymore. His eyes meet mine, and I see a flash of vulnerability there. If only it were that simple, Mishka.
Chapter 4. Alexander, our water taxi glides across the lagoon, and Venice materializes from the mid-morning mist like a ghost from my past. Laurie's hand rests on my knee as she takes in the sight, but my mind drifts to darker places. Look at those buildings. They're practically floating on water, Laurie says, leaning forward, and I thought Paris was something extraordinary. A lump forms in my throat and I try to swallow. Too many memories here. That's the magic of Venice, built on wooden pylons that have stood for centuries. You okay? You seem distant. Her concerned voice pains me. The last time I was here, Father conducted business in a palazzo near the Rialto. I watched him shake hands with men who would later try to kill him. Just memories. Good ones or bad ones? Both, unfortunately. The taxi passes under a bridge where Father once pointed out the Bridge of Sighs to me. My father loved this city. He'd tell me stories about the old merchant families, the Doges, the way Venice ruled the seas. The salt air stings my nostrils, bringing back his cologne, his voice, his lessons about power. You never talk about him. Not much to say. I straighten my cuffs, a habit when I'm uncomfortable. The Gallery de l'Accademia looms before us, its Renaissance architecture a glamorous reminder of Venice's golden age. Laurie grabs my hand gently as we walk through the grand entrance. The detail in these paintings is incredible, she says, stopping before a Titian masterpiece. Look at how the light catches her dress. My eyes drift to the corner of the room where two tourists whisper in Russian. Old habits die hard. I catch fragments about restaurant recommendations, but my muscles tense anyway. Alex, Laurie squeezes my elbow. You're doing it again. Doing what? That thing where you're physically here but mentally somewhere else. A security guard passes by and I track his movement before catching myself. Sorry, it's just... Father used to bring me here. He'd point out the hidden meanings in the paintings, the political messages buried in the brush strokes. Tell me about one. I guide her to a particular canvas. See this one? The merchant's wearing red, symbol of power. But look at his hands. My finger traces the air near the painting. They're positioned to show he's making a secret deal. Father loved explaining these details. Said understanding subterfuge was crucial in our line of... I stop myself. Laurie's thumb strokes my palm. In your line of work? I try to focus on her warmth, but my eyes keep darting to the exits, counting cameras, assessing sight lines. Father's lessons burned into muscle memory. I shake my head, forcing a smile. Let's just relax and enjoy our time together. Laurie's raised eyebrows tell me she's anything but convinced that I can do that, but she shrugs and smiles in response. The candlelight at dinner flickers across Laurie's face as she studies me over her glass of Barolo. We're tucked away in a corner of a tiny restaurant off a quiet canal, but my eyes keep drifting to the door. That's the third time you've checked the entrance in 5 minutes, she says, setting down her fork. I force my attention back to her. Just admiring the architecture. Alex. Her tone carries that nurse's authority she uses with difficult patience. You've barely touched your osso buco. It's excellent. I take a deliberate bite to prove it. The rich marrow melts on my tongue, but I barely taste it. Must be jet lag. She reaches across the table, her fingers making me shiver in response to her touch. You know what I think? I think you're carrying something really heavy, and I think you're trying to protect me from it. A waiter approaches, and I tense before realizing he's just refilling our water glasses. You worry too much. I'm fine. See? That right there. She leans back, crossing her arms. Every time someone walks by, you go rigid, like you're expecting something to happen. Old habits. I attempt a casual shrug. Comes with the territory of international business. Business. She says it flat, unconvinced. Right. I reach for my wine glass, buying time. Let's talk about something else. Tell me about that new emergency room protocol you were working on. Her eyes narrow slightly, but she allows the distraction. For now. You really want to hear about triage procedures over dinner? I want to hear about whatever makes you light up like you did in the gallery earlier. The corner of her mouth twitches. Smooth dodge, Mr. Popov. Very smooth. We're not done with this conversation, though. The waiter clears our plates, and I stare into the dregs of my wine. 6 months ago, I promised myself I'd wash my hands clean. No more midnight phone calls, no more meetings in back rooms, no more blood money. Legitimate businesses would be enough. Dessert? Laurie's voice pulls me back. Whatever you'd like. My fingers drum against the tablecloth. 3 text messages sit unanswered on my phone. Uncle Victor doesn't take silence well. Earth to Alex. Laurie waves her hand in front of my face. You're doing that 1,000-yard stare again. I catch her hand, pressing my lips to her knuckles. Just thinking about some contracts that need reviewing. On our vacation, the vacation that you insisted on. She tilts her head, those keen eyes seeing too much. The same contracts that had you checking every shadow in the gallery? My jaw tightens. The waiter returns with tiramisu, and I wait until he's out of earshot. It's complicated. Try me. I made promises. To myself. To her, though she doesn't know it. To change things. But old debts have a way of collecting interest. Alex. She leans forward, voice dropping. Whatever it is, you can tell me. I'm not made of glass. My phone grows heavier in my pocket. Another message probably waiting. Another reminder that my past isn't done with me yet. That perhaps it never will be. Some doors, I say carefully, once opened, are hard to close completely. Then maybe you need help pushing them shut. If only it were that simple. If only I could tell her about the webs I'm tangled in. The promises made in blood. The obligations that don't care about my attempts at redemption. But that would only paint a target on her back. I force a smile. Let's focus on dessert. Venice is for lovers, not business talk. But even as I say it, I know I'm losing this battle. The past isn't letting go. And sooner or later, I'll have to choose between keeping my promise to go straight or keeping Laurie safe from the consequences of my failure. Laurie scrapes the last bit of tiramisu from her plate, and I feel a sharp pang of guilt watching her lick the spoon clean with such innocent pleasure. She deserves someone who can share dessert without scanning for threats, someone whose phone doesn't buzz with messages that could mean life or death. You're staring again, she says, dabbing her lips with a napkin. Just appreciating the view. While looking like you're carrying the weight of the world. She reaches across the table, her touch feathery soft against my cheek. Talk to me. I'm grinding my teeth as I struggle to explain myself. How do I tell her that every moment with her is both heaven and hell? That while she sees a successful businessman, she's falling for a man whose hands are stained with choices he can never wash clean? You deserve better than this, I say, the words slipping out. Better than what? A romantic getaway in Venice? Better than someone who can't. The words are stalled for a moment. Someone who can't give you everything you deserve. And what exactly do I deserve, Alexander, since you seem to know better than I do? Someone uncomplicated. Someone who doesn't bring darkness to your door. She sits back, those keen eyes cutting right through me. Maybe I don't want uncomplicated, maybe I want real. Real isn't always good. Neither is running away from what matters. Her hand finds mine across the table. You think I don't see the weight you carry? The way you try to protect me from it? That's exactly why I pull my hand back. Don't, please. Because if she says what I think she's about to say, I won't have the strength to do what needs to be done. To keep her safe. To keep her untainted by my world. The candlelight catches the hurt in her eyes, and it cuts deeper than anything I've known.
Chapter 5. Lori. Alex's tiramisu sits untouched between us. Its layers of coffee-soaked ladyfingers and mascarpone cream, a stark contrast to the tension hanging in the air. He stares past me, his espresso growing cold, lost in whatever darkness plagues his thoughts. Enough, I say, setting my fork down. I want answers. What's going on in that head of yours? He blinks, focusing on me with effort. Nothing to concern yourself with. Just business matters. Don't do that. I cover his hand with mine. Don't shut me out. You've been somewhere else this entire trip. I'm here now. His fingers tighten around mine, but the gesture feels hollow. Are you? Because it feels like I'm dining with your ghost. The candle between us flickers, casting shadows across his face. You promised. No more walls between us. His jaw clenches. Some walls exist for a reason, Lori. And some exist because we're too afraid to tear them down. I lean forward, the scent of espresso and aged wood mingling in the air. This city's affecting you. I can see it eating away at you, and I want to help. You can't. He withdraws his hand, straightening his already perfect tie. There are parts of my past that should stay buried. And here they are, haunting our present. I push the dessert aside. I'm not asking for every detail, Alex. I'm asking you to let me in, just enough to understand. His eyes meet mine, and I think I glimpse the war raging behind them. What if understanding changes everything? What if not understanding destroys what we have anyway? Alexander swirls the remaining espresso in his cup, the liquid creating a miniature whirlpool that mirrors the turmoil in his eyes. I was just a boy when my father first brought me here. I stay quiet, giving him space to continue. The restaurant's ambient noise fades as he speaks, replaced by the anguish of memory. Summer of '99. He claimed it was a business trip, but really. Alex's knuckles whiten around the cup. He wanted to show me what my future would look like, the family business, as he called it. Your father was part of the company. He built it. The words are sharp and biting. Every contact, every deal, He catches himself, glancing at the nearby tables. Let's just say Venice wasn't just about the architecture. I slide my hand back across the table, finding his. This time he doesn't pull away. The whole trip he lectured me about legacy, about duty, how the Popov name meant something. Alex's thumb traces circles on my palm. I wanted to study architecture, design buildings that would last centuries like these. I'd wanted to redesign the house he has here. He laughed when I told him. What did he say? That dreams were for children, and it was time I grew up. The corner of his mouth twitches. We had our biggest fight right here, in this restaurant actually. I told him I didn't want his life. He told me I didn't have a choice. But you did make choices, Alex. You're trying to change things now. His laugh lacks humor. Am I? Or am I just pretending to be something I'm not? He looks around the ornate dining room, his expression haunted. Every corner of this city reminds me of him, of what he wanted me to become. Sometimes I wonder if I'm just running from the inevitable. I breathe a heavy sigh, not quite sure how to phrase my proposition. Maybe we should visit your hometown. Face these memories head on instead of letting them haunt you. Alexander's expression hardens, his shoulders tensing beneath his perfectly tailored jacket. No. It could help you find some peace. I said no. His voice drops to that dangerous whisper I've heard him use with his men. That part of my life is off limits. Alex, drop it, Lori. He signals for the check, his movements sharp and precise. Door is closed. Yet here I am, kicking it wide open. I lean forward, refusing to be intimidated. You can't keep running from your past. Watch me. He pulls out his wallet, not meeting my eyes. I've spent years building something new, something clean. Going back there would undo everything. Or it could help you finally move forward. You don't understand what you're asking. His knuckles whiten around his glass. That place, it's not just memories. There are people there who'd love nothing more than to drag me back in. Then we face them all together. No. The word carries a sense of finality. I won't risk you getting caught in that crossfire. And I won't give them the satisfaction of seeing me return like some prodigal son. The waiter slips away with Alexander's credit card, leaving us in a bubble of tense silence. My fingers drum against the tablecloth as I study the man across from me, this complex puzzle I've fallen for. The candlelight catches the subtle tremor in his hand as he reaches for his water glass. You know what I see when I look at you? I keep my voice soft. Intimate. He raises an eyebrow. Someone who doesn't know when to let sleeping dogs lie. I see someone fighting so hard to outrun his shadow that he's missing the light right in front of him. Poetic. His smile doesn't reach his eyes. Shadows have a way of swallowing the light. Only if you let them. I lean forward, the candle flame between us dancing. You're not your father, Alex. And you're not defined by what he wanted you to be. Aren't I? He loosens his tie with quick, agitated movements. Every legitimate business deal, every attempt to go clean, there's always something pulling me back. Some connection, some favor owed. His web is woven so tight I can barely breathe sometimes. That man is everywhere. My chest aches watching him struggle against invisible chains. Part of me wants to shake him, to make him see his own strength. Another part wants to hold him until these ghosts release their grip. Then let me help you breathe. I reach for his hand again, but he pulls back. You already do. His voice cracks slightly. That's why I can't. I won't drag you deeper into this. Please understand that. The raw plea in his voice stops my next argument cold. For all his power and presence, in this moment, he looks almost fragile, like a boy still trying to earn his father's approval while simultaneously running from his legacy. The walk back to our hotel stretches in silence, broken only by the gentle lap of canal water and distant church bells. Alex's hand rests at the small of my back, guiding me through the cobblestone streets, but his touch feels distant, almost mechanical. Look at that moon, I say, stopping at a bridge. The silver disk hangs low over the water, casting ribbons of light across the dark surface. Reminds me of that night you showed up at my apartment. His lips quirk slightly. Bleeding all over your welcome mat? Making me fall in love with the most complicated man I've ever known. I turn to face him, resting my hands on his chest. I knew what I was getting into, you know. Well, mostly. Lori? Let me finish. I smooth an imaginary wrinkle from his lapel. I'm not going to push about your past anymore. When you're ready to share that part of yourself, I'll be here. Until then. I rise on tiptoe to kiss his cheek. I'll just focus on loving who you are now. The tension in his shoulders eases slightly. He cups my face, thumb tracing my cheekbone. What did I do to deserve you? Must have been something terrible. I wink, drawing a genuine laugh from him. Come on, let's get gelato. I saw a place still open near the hotel. At this hour? Best time for it. I loop my arm through his. Besides, I want to hear more about these architectural dreams of yours. I bet you would have designed amazing buildings. His smile turns wistful, but some of the haunted look leaves his eyes. Maybe in another life, that dream is long gone. Maybe in this one, it's never too late to build something new. He squeezes my arm, and we continue our walk, letting the Venice night wrap around us like a velvet cloak. Some battles can wait for another day. Tonight, I'll just be his anchor in the present. I thought I was getting a fake marriage, but I didn't know my story was being told by Miss Tyla.
This isn't just any fake marriage, now is it?
No, you introduced me to the devil.
Come on, girl, Jacob isn't that bad.
Oh, I love Jacob. His family, on the other hand?
Beggars can't be choosers, Nyla. You should be grateful I even let Jacob Stone look your way.
I just wanted to save my granddaddy. Is that so bad? Why couldn't you let this be a normal fake marriage? Instead, you put me in a twisty story filled with money, betrayal, power, and lies.
Let's not forget love.
That's what keeps me going. But not gonna lie, Miss Tyla. This story you got me in ain't the simple fake marriage, happy ending I thought it would be.
It's not. Because where would be the fun in that?
Treat yourself to Say Less I Love You. Tuesdays and Thursdays. New seasons premiere every month. Or skip the wait and grab the full series bundle from TylaWalker.com. Treat yourself with Miss Tyla.
Chapter 6. Alexander. The Venetian morning light filters through the suite's ornate windows, casting long shadows across the marble floor. I adjust my tie for the third time, the silk refusing to cooperate. The concierge recommended a lovely cafe near the Rialto Bridge, Laurie says, her voice gentle as she applies mascara in the bathroom mirror. We can find something closer. My words come out as sharp as a razor, and I see Laurie wince in the mirror. The thought of crossing that bridge, of walking the same paths I did with my father, elicits a cold sweat through me. Alexander, we can't avoid half the city just because... I said we'll find something closer. I slam my hand against the dresser, making the crystal water glasses rattle. The silence that follows is deafening. Laurie emerges from the bathroom, her dress flowing around her knees. Don't start this again. Start what? I turn away, pretending to check my phone, shutting me out, snapping at me when I try to help. She moves closer, her perfume mixing with the fresh morning air from the open window. I'm not the enemy here. There is no enemy. My jaw clenches. There's just me trying to enjoy a vacation with my girlfriend without a guided tour through my childhood trauma. That's not fair, and you know it. She reaches for my arm, but I step away, busying myself with my cufflinks. Laurie steps between me and the door, her chin lifted in that stubborn way I've come to know means trouble. We're not leaving this room until you talk to me. Move! The word scrapes out of my throat. No. She crosses her arms. I've watched you spiral for days. You're not eating, barely sleeping. I wake up and you're standing at the window like some brooding statue. My hands curl into fists. You don't understand. Then help me understand. Her voice cracks. I'm right here, Alexander. I've been right here, watching you tear yourself apart. The genuine pain in her eyes hits harder than any punch I've taken. What do you want me to say? That every street corner here reminds me of following my father around like a puppy while he conducted his business. Yes, She closes the distance between us, wrapping her arms around my waist. That's exactly what I want you to say. All of it. The ugly parts, the painful parts. I'm not made of glass. No, you're made of something far more precious. I touch her cheek, hating how my fingers tremble. And I don't want to taint that with my darkness. That's not your choice to make. She presses her cheek against my chest, right over my heartbeat. Your past doesn't scare me. Your silence does. The weight I've carried since landing in Venice threatens to crush me. I don't know how to be the man you deserve. I don't need you to be anything but honest with me. Fine. I sigh heavily and I see her offer a silent prayer heavenward as she gestures to the corner by the window. I sink into the plush armchair by the window, Lori perched on the ottoman in front of me. Her hands rest on my knees, grounding me as memories flood back. Her eyes search mine as I struggle to find the words to convey just how much pain those memories bring up. Winters were brutal, not the kind of cold you bundle up against, the kind that seeps into your bones and stays there. My fingers brush patterns on the armrest, but the cold outside was nothing compared to inside our house. What was he like? Lori's thumb traces circles on my knee. Demanding, precise. Everything had to be perfect. Grades, appearance, behavior. One wrong move. I swallow hard. He'd say weakness is death. The moment you show it, you're already in the ground. You were just a child. I was his heir. By 12, I could field strip a Makarov blindfolded. At 14, I made my first collection run. The words taste like vomit in my mouth. Some shopkeeper hadn't paid his protection money. Father made me deal with him myself. I was just a kid. Lori's hand tightens on my knee, but she doesn't pull away. When I turned 18, he took me on a second trip, a business trip, to Venice. Said it was time I learned the family's international operations. The memories are as sharp as broken glass. 3 days later, I watched him execute his own brother for skimming money. Right there on the Rialto Bridge. Is that why you left? No. I stayed. Became exactly what he wanted. Ruthless, efficient, empty inside. My voice drops to a whisper. Then he ordered me to tie up loose ends on a deal that we'd been negotiating. But you couldn't. I got those poor people out instead. New identities, new lives. When Father found out, I touched the scar on my shoulder unconsciously. I barely made it to the airport. Haven't been back to Russia since. You chose to be better than him. Did I? Or am I just pretending, playing at being legitimate while still profiting from others' suffering? Lori grabs my hand and I look down, feeling a sense of unity with her that I've never felt with another woman. The morning sun warms my face through the window, a vivid contrast to the cold memories I've just shared. You saved those people, she says, sliding her hands up and down my thighs. That counts for something. Does it? One good deed against a lifetime of... Stop. She squeezes my leg. You're not tallying points here. Life isn't a balance sheet. A laugh escapes me, surprising us both. Everything's a balance sheet in my world. Not anymore. She rises from the ottoman, settling onto my lap. Her weight anchors me to the present, away from the ghosts of Venice. It's not that simple. Nothing worth doing ever is. She rests her forehead against mine. But you don't have to carry it alone anymore. The knot in my chest loosens, just a fraction. I've never told anyone about Venice, about my father. I know. Her fingers brush through my hair, and I fold into her touch. It means the world that you trust me. I don't deserve... If you finish that sentence with you, I swear I'll throw your fancy Italian shoes in the canal. This time my laugh feels real, unburdened. You wouldn't dare. Try me, Popov. Her smile lights up her entire face. I'm not afraid of your brooding Russian routine. The weight I've carried since coming to Venice doesn't disappear, but it shifts, becomes bearable, Sharing it with Lori feels like taking a full breath after years of shallow breathing. Lori leans forward, tracing gentle patterns over my scars. What if we went to the same place? My muscles tense beneath her fingers. You just don't give up, do you? Not when something's this important. She wraps her arms around my neck, studying my face. And this is important. It's dangerous. I lean back, running a hand through my hair. The people there are probably less scary than you're making them out to be in your head. You don't know my family. No, but I know you. And I know running from your past isn't working. The morning breeze carries the scent of coffee and fresh cinnamon rolls from the cafe below. I focus on that instead of the memories threatening to surface. What exactly do you think we'll find there? I don't know. Closure? Understanding? She shrugs. Or maybe just a really good bowl of borscht. Despite myself, I crack a smile. There's a little place near the summer garden that makes the best borscht in the city. See? Already worth the trip. You're not going to leave well enough alone, are you? Not a chance. She plants a cheerful kiss on my forehead. Come on, show me your city. The real one, not the tourist version. I imagine Lori walking the streets of my childhood. The idea both terrifies and entices me. Fine, but we do this my way. No wandering off, no talking to strangers, and if I say we leave, we leave. Got it. She leans her forehead against mine. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. I thread my arms around her waist and pull her closer, breathing in her familiar scent. That place has a way of bringing out the worst in people. Good thing I'm excellent at handling difficult patients, then.
Chapter 7. Lori. The gold domes of the Church of the Savior on Spilled Blood pierce the winter sky, their intricate mosaics catching what little sunlight filters through the clouds. My breath catches at the sheer magnificence of it all. The city feels like stepping into a fairy tale, with its pastel-colored buildings and ornate architecture. But Alexander's rigid posture beside me tells a different story. His jaw clenches as we pass each landmark, his hand gripping mine just a touch too tight. This palace, I say, pointing to a grand blue and white structure. It's so beautiful. The Mariinsky. His voice comes out clipped. My father used to bring business associates here for the ballet. I squeeze his hand. We don't have to. It's fine. He cuts me off, then immediately softens. I'm sorry. Every corner here holds a memory. A group of tourists brushes past us, their excited chatter in various languages filling the crisp air. Alexander tenses further, his eyes darting to each face. Hey, I stop walking, turning to face him. Talk to me. What if someone recognizes me? His voice drops to barely above a whisper. The wrong person sees me here. Then we'll handle it together. I reach up, straightening his scarf against the brisk wind. But right now, you're just showing your girlfriend around, nothing more. His features soften slightly, but I notice how his gaze keeps scanning our surroundings. Every car that drives too slowly, every person who glances our way, it all sets him on edge. This isn't just about memories anymore. There's fear here, raw and real, hiding behind his carefully maintained facade. Should we get some coffee? I suggest, spotting a cozy-looking cafe ahead. Warm up a bit? Duh. The Russian slips out automatically, and I catch a fleeting glimpse of a younger Alexander in his small smile. Though you haven't lived until you've had Russian tea, complete with black cherries. Then maybe Russia will have to be our next stop, HM. No need, he muses. They make a good cup right here. He leads me down the sidewalk and around the corner to an obscure little hole in the wall. Pulling the door open, I'm greeted with the most delectable scents ever to grace my nose. If this is half as good as it smells, Alex smiles. Oh, it is. The cafe's warmth wraps around us like a blanket, the aroma of coffee and fresh-baked pastries filling the air. Alexander orders for us both in perfect Russian. His accent's so natural it makes me smile. Yet even as we settle into our corner table, his shoulders remain taut, his eyes constantly moving. Try this. He pushes a flaky pastry towards me. Socknik, cottage cheese filling. I take a bite, letting the buttery sweetness melt on my tongue. This is amazing. His tea arrives with a small dish of black cherries, but his attention snaps to two men entering the cafe. His hand tightens around his cup. Alexander. I reach across the table, my fingers brushing his wrist. The tea will get cold. Right, he blinks, forcing his gaze back to me. Sorry. Old habits. Those men bothering you? No. Yes, maybe. He drops a cherry into his tea, watching it sink. In this city, you never know who's watching, who might remember. A waiter approaches with more hot water, and Alexander's entire body goes rigid. The moment the waiter leaves, I lean forward. When's the last time you were here? 8 years. 4 months. He doesn't hesitate. Left in the middle of the night. Didn't even pack a bag. The men who caught his attention earlier laugh loudly at something, and Alexander's jaw ticks. His eyes keep darting between them and the door, his tea untouched. Hey, I slide my hand fully over his. Look at me, just me. His gaze meets mine, and I see clearly past the carefully constructed walls to the burden he carries, the constant vigilance, the inability to truly relax, even in a simple cafe. Tell me about the cherries, I say softly. Why black ones specifically? Alexander's expression softens as he drops another cherry in his tea. My grandmother insisted the tannins in black cherries complement the tea perfectly. Something about the way they sink to the bottom, releasing their flavor slowly. He stirs his cup. Plus, they're packed with antioxidants. Very practical, very Russian. I mimic his motion, watching my cherry spiral down. So there's a method to this madness? Always. He smiles. The first genuine one since we sat down. Let it steep for exactly 2 minutes. The cherry should be properly saturated by then. The tea's warmth seeps into my hands as I inhale the subtle fruity aroma. Just as I'm about to take a sip, a shadow falls across our table. Popov, a deep voice breaks through the cafe's gentle murmur, speaking something in Russian. Alexander's entire demeanor shifts in an instant. His spine straightens, shoulders squaring as he looks up at the stranger, a middle-aged man in an expensive coat. You must be mistaking me for someone else, Alexander replies in English. His accent deliberately American. The man switches to English as well. No mistake. Your father's eyes. You have them exactly. Alexander stands abruptly, his chair scraping against the floor. We need to go. Your father would want. My father is dead? Alexander's voice carries an edge sharp enough to cut glass. He grabs my coat from the back of my chair. Come on, Lori. I barely have time to gather my purse before Alexander's hand slides around my waist, guiding me toward the door. The stranger calls out something in Russian, but Alexander doesn't look back. The bitter cold hits my face as we emerge onto the street. Alexander's pace quick and purposeful. He guides me through a series of turns, his grip on my hand firm but gentle. Alex? Not here, he mutters, flagging down a taxi. We need to move. The taxi weaves through the streets as my mind races, connecting dots I'd previously ignored. Alexander's constant vigilance, the way he positions himself to watch every entrance, how he tenses at unexpected sounds, It's not just paranoia or trauma, it's survival. That man, I say softly, watching Alexander's profile. Alexander's jaw clenches. SVR, Russian intelligence. He worked with my father. The pieces click into place. The midnight escape, the bullet scar, the way he scrutinizes every stranger. Your father was notorious, wasn't he? His fingers drum against his knee. The ballet, the business meetings, I'll cover. My father ran operations that... He shakes his head. Let's just say crossing him wasn't wise. And now they want you back. They want what I know. He turns to me, his expression grave. Names, account numbers, safe house locations, things that could topple empires or start wars. I swallow hard. The connection of it all, his constant alertness, his reluctance to return here, suddenly makes perfect sense. This isn't just about escaping a criminal past or family expectations. He's carrying state secrets, walking a tightrope between powers I can barely comprehend. The taxi turns onto a wider street, and Alexander immediately tenses, eyes tracking a black car that passes too slowly for comfort. I squeeze his hand, understanding now why he can never fully relax, why peace seems to elude him. This isn't just his past haunting him. It's actively hunting him. Alexander's hand remains locked with mine, his thumb absently tracing circles on my skin. The gesture feels automatic, as if he's trying to comfort me when he's the one who needs comforting. We should pack as soon as we get back, he says, eyes still scanning the passing traffic. Alex, I squeeze his arm. Stop. You don't understand? I understand perfectly. My voice stays low but firm. And I'm not going anywhere. He turns to me, his expression a mix of frustration and concern. This isn't some game, Lori. These people. I patch up gunshot wounds for a living. I've seen what people can do. The memory of him bleeding on my ER table flashes through my mind. But I'm not letting you push me away because you think it'll keep me safe. You're the most stubborn woman you've ever met. I arch an eyebrow. Good. You need stubborn. A hint of a smile crosses his face before vanishing. I never wanted to drag you into this. You didn't drag me anywhere. I walked in with both eyes open. The taxi turns onto our hotel street. And I'm staying. He studies me for a long moment, his jaw working. There's no talking you out of this, is there? Nope. I lean over and kiss his cheek. So stop trying. The taxi stops, and Alexander immediately shifts back into high alert, scanning the street before helping me out. His hand finds my hip, squeezing gently as we enter the hotel. Protective rather than possessive. Despite everything, warmth blooms in my chest. This complicated, dangerous man who thinks he needs to carry the world alone, he's worth fighting for, worth standing beside, no matter what storms come our way, even if those storms wear expensive coats and carry state secrets.
Chapter 8. Alexander. The cozy ambience of Mikhail's apartment wraps around us as we step inside, bringing memories flooding back. The same mismatched furniture, the same smell of his wife Elena's cooking. Some things never change. Alexander! Mikhail pulls me into a bear hug. Finally, you bring this mysterious woman to meet us. Lori extends her hand, but Elena bypasses it completely for an embrace. Welcome, welcome. We've heard nothing about you, which means our Alexander must be serious. That's exactly what it means, I say, watching Lori's cheeks flush. Come, sit. Mikhail gestures to the worn leather couch. Elena's made your favorite, beef stroganoff. You remembered. The familiar aroma takes me back to afternoons spent here after school when this apartment was my refuge. How could I forget? You practically lived here. Mikhail winks at Lori. This one, always in trouble, but with the biggest heart. Did he tell you about the time he punched Dmitri Volkov for picking on my little sister? He most certainly did not. Lori's eyes sparkle with interest. Don't you dare, Misha. Oh, but I must! He was 12. Scrawny thing back then. I was not scrawny. You were adorable, Elena chimes in, bringing steaming plates to the table, like an angry kitten. See what I have to put up with? I squeeze Lori's knee under the table. My oldest friends, and they betray me like this. That's what family does, Mikhail says softly, and the word settles in my chest like a warm stone. To family, then. Elena raises her wine glass. Old and new. The stroganoff's rich aroma fills the air as Elena ladles generous portions onto our plates. Lori leans forward, inhaling deeply. This smells incredible, Elena. Would you share the recipe? Of course. Though Alexander knows it by heart, he used to help me cook when he was younger. I nearly choke on my wine. That was our secret. Lori's eyes dance with amusement. Now this I need to hear about. He was quite good, Mikhail says, passing the bread, until he got distracted and burned the onions. Every single time, Eleni adds with a laugh. Lori's eyes sparkle as she winks at me, and something shifts inside my chest. The weight I've been carrying since we arrived in Russia feels lighter. She fits here, in this space between my past and present, as if she's always belonged. Tell me, Lori, Elena says, how did you two meet? Well, Lori glances at me, a silent question in her eyes. She saved one of my employees, I say carefully. A medical emergency. She's the best nurse at Stone Hospital. Ah, a healer. Mikhail raises his glass. That explains everything. Our Alexander always needed someone to patch him up after his adventures. The conversation flows easily, like the wine in our glasses. Watching Lori trade stories with Mikhail and Elena, seeing her laugh at their terrible jokes, makes my chest bloom in a way I've never experienced. She bridges two worlds I never thought could coexist, the life I left behind and the one I'm trying to build. More wine, Elena offers. Please, Lori says, then adds in careful Russian, Spasibo. The word, slightly accented but earnest, brings an unexpected sting to my eyes. She's been practicing, I realize, learning bits of my mother tongue without telling me. Remember when Alexander refused to leave that broken motorcycle in the rain? Mikhail leans back, eyes twinkling. 3 hours he stood there trying to fix it. Wouldn't let anyone help. That sounds familiar. Lori's lips curl into a knowing smile. Last week he spent 2 hours rewiring a security system himself instead of calling the technician. I knew what I was doing, I protest, but Elena's already shaking her head. Just like you knew how to fix that bike? She turns to Lori. He caught pneumonia, but still insisted he'd made the right choice. The bike worked in the end, I mutter into my wine glass. And the security system, Lori raises an eyebrow. Eventually. Mikhail slaps his knee. Finally, someone who sees through his nonsense. Tell me, how do you manage his stubborn streaks? Oh, I just let him think he's won, Lori says, patting my hand. Then do what needs to be done anyway. My jaw drops. You what? Like when you insisted on driving through that snowstorm last month. She gives me an innocent look. Who ended up calling the car service? That was your idea? The betrayal stings, but I can't help admiring her craftiness. Elena's delighted laughter fills the room. Oh, she's perfect for you, Alexander. Finally someone clever enough to outmaneuver you. I am not outmaneuvered, I insist, but Lori's gentle but teasing smile tells me otherwise. Keep telling yourself that, love. She winks and the others dissolve into fresh peals of laughter. Elena sets a plate of her famous honey cake in front of me, and the scent causes memories to flood back. Birthdays, celebrations, moments stolen from a life I thought I'd left behind. Across the table, Lori chats with Elena about American desserts, her hands animated as she describes something called a cronut. The sight of her here, so natural in my old refuge, twists something near my heart. Remember when you'd sneak extra slices? Mikhail nudges me, always claiming you were still growing. I was. I cut into the cake, the familiar layers perfectly aligned. Just sideways, apparently. You grew in other ways, he says quietly, and I know he's not talking about my physique. The cake tastes exactly as I remember, but I'm different now. The angry young man who stormed out of Russia, determined to prove himself, has been replaced by someone else. Someone who builds things instead of breaking them. Someone who sees beyond the next deal, the next score. This is incredible, Lori moans around her fork. Alexander, why didn't you tell me that you grew up eating food this good? Because then you'd expect me to cook it. The joke comes easily, but my mind's elsewhere. I watch her lick honey from her lips and think about the blood on my hands, the secrets I still keep. She deserves better than half-truths and carefully edited stories. Yet here she is, learning Russian phrases, charming my oldest friends, building bridges I thought I'd burned. More tea? Elena asks, already reaching for the pot. Please. I clear my throat. And thank you for everything. Elena's hand pauses. She knows what I mean. The years of shelter, of guidance, of showing me there was more to life than what my father planned. Her eyes soften with understanding. Always, Alexander. Your family. Family. The word means something different now, something I'm still learning to trust. I glance at Lori, who's watching me with those perceptive eyes of hers, and wonder if I'll ever be worthy of the faith she places in me. A flash of movement outside Mikhail's window catches my eye. My muscles tense, but it's just snow falling from the eaves. Still, my hand instinctively moves toward my concealed holster. You okay? Lori's fingers brush my arm. Just tired. The lie tastes like bile. I check my watch. We've been here 3 hours. Too long? Elena brings another pot of tea, but I wave it away. We should go. We have a busy day tomorrow. Already? Mikhail's disappointment is clear, but Elena made her special. Another time. I stand, straightening my jacket. Through the window, I scan the street below. 2 men smoking by a lamppost. Could be nothing. Could be everything. At least take some cake for later, Elena insists, already wrapping portions in foil. Lori helps her, chatting about recipes while I pull Mikhail aside. Anyone been asking about me? His expression shifts, understanding darkening his features. The usual whispers. Nothing concrete. If anyone comes... We never saw you. He grips my shoulder. Be careful, Alex. A car door slams outside. My heart rate spikes until I spot the elderly couple emerging with groceries. Still, the warning bells in my head grow louder. Ready? Lori appears at my side, clutching Elena's care package. More than... I guide her toward the door, keeping my body between her and the windows. Thank you both for everything. Elena hugs us goodbye, whispering something in Lori's ear that makes her laugh. I force a smile, but my focus is already on our exit strategy, mapping alternate routes back to the hotel. I'm tired. So tired of looking over my shoulder all the time. You think you can catch me? You think you can tame me?
Oh, I know I can. And you know it too, baby.
I gotta tell you, you're not the first to try.
But don't worry, baby. I'll be the last.
With sass like that, maybe I'll be the one that needs to tame you.
Let's cut to the chase, big boy. What you selling me?
Your appetite is big AF. I have just the thing that'll satisfy you.
Oh, really? And what's that?
Over 120 hours of romance audiobooks. Brought to you by Tyla Walker Romances in the Big AF audio bundle.
120 hours? That sounds amazing.
Your knees won't work afterwards if I do my job right.
Don't make promises you can't keep.
Well, I can keep this promise. Because these audiobooks are unabridged with all the spicy scenes that will make you put your earbuds on. You know, Tyla can get freaky because she marked the bundle down by 69% for a limited time.
I can't wait to take this bundle for a ride.
Visit TylaWalker.com and get this audio bundle. Just don't start listening if you're going to be cooking dinner. Because you might just forget to feed your family.
TylaWalker.com. Escape your life with Tyla. Chapter 9. Lori. The old building's hallway creaks beneath our feet, the worn wooden floors telling stories of countless footsteps before us. Alexander's arm over my shoulders rests warmly as we walk, and I lean into his touch. I can't believe Mikhail kept that photo of you in the tutu, I say, bumping his hip playfully. Who knew you had such promising ballet aspirations? That man lives to torture me. Alexander shakes his head, but his eyes crinkle with amusement. Though I notice you didn't complain when he showed you the swimming team photos. Can you blame me? The wine from dinner makes me bold. Those Speedos left little to the imagination. His rich laugh echoes off the walls. I should have known letting you meet them would be dangerous. I stop walking, turning to face him. The dim hallway light catches the silver at his temples, and my heart swells with affection. Thank you for this, for letting me see this part of you. My hands find his, intertwining. The way they talk about you, the stories they shared, I feel like I understand you better now. They're good people. His thumb traces circles on the back of my hand. The only ones from back then I still trust. I saw how you were with them, relaxed, playful even. It was beautiful to watch. You bring that out in me. He pulls me closer, his forehead touching mine. You make me want to be that person more often. You already are that person. I reach up, cupping his cheek. You just needed someone to remind you. The hallway falls quiet as we walk, save for the distant sounds of the city filtering through ancient windows. In this moment, life seems lighter somehow. Not gone, but manageable, shared between us. Alexander's body suddenly goes rigid beside me, the intimacy of moments ago replaced by a cold alertness that makes my skin prickle. His phone screen illuminates his face in harsh blue light, casting shadows that deepen the sudden lines of tension around his mouth. I take a small step back, giving him space. I'll get the elevator. I walk ahead, each step echoing in the now heavy silence. The brass elevator button is cool under my finger as I press it, watching the ancient dial above slowly tick toward our floor. I remember the way he tensed earlier at the cafe, how quickly we had to leave. Maybe I pushed too hard, asking to meet his friends. Maybe this whole trip was too much, too soon. The familiar weight of self-doubt settles in my stomach. The elevator groans its way up, each floor marked by a mechanical wheeze. I cross my arms over my chest, suddenly cold in the drafty hallway. All that progress we made tonight, all those walls that started to come down, I can feel them rebuilding brick by brick in the space between us. Come on, I whisper to the elevator, willing it to move faster, to break this moment of uncomfortable limbo. I hate to put a stop to a good time, but it looks like we've hit this platform's limit for spiciness.
This platform's got some rules we have to play by if we want to keep giving you these stories for free.
And trust me, this scene isn't something you want to miss.
While we can't get into all the details here, you can still dive into the full, uncut version at TylaWalker.com.
Miss Tyla has an entire collection of unabridged audiobooks and ebooks waiting for you.
And the best part? You can treat yourself with 40% off When you use the code, save 40.
That's right. You'll save on any digital product, even bundles that are already discounted.
Miss Tyla would never let anyone feel the kind of disappointment you must be feeling right now.
So why wait? Treat yourself with Miss Tyla.
Chapter 10. Alexander. I guide Lori through the grand halls of the Hermitage, her small hand warm in mine. The Winter Palace's opulence surrounds us, gilt frames catching light, marble floors echoing our steps. This used to be the Tsar's private collection, I explain, drawing her closer as we pause before a Rembrandt. Now anyone can see it. It's incredible. Her eyes sparkle with wonder, reminding me why I brought her here. Though I bet you've seen it all before. Not like this. I squeeze her hand. Everything's different with you here. She leans into me as we walk, her shoulder brushing against my arm. The contact sends electricity through my body, makes me forget about checking exits and scanning faces. Tell me about this one. She points to a massive canvas. That's Catherine the Great's favorite. See how the light falls? I trace the air, following the brushstrokes. The artist spent years perfecting it. Someone's done their homework. She bumps my hip playfully. I like seeing you excited about something besides business deals. Art was my first love before. I trail off, old memories threatening to surface. Before what? Before you. I pull her behind a column, stealing a quick kiss. Her lips are soft, tasting of the coffee we shared earlier. When we part, her eyes are dancing. Stellar recovery, Mr. Popov. I try. I wrap my arm around her waist as we continue our tour, cherishing how perfectly she fits against me. For once, my past feels lighter, overshadowed by her presence. A flash of recognition stops me cold. Through the crowd of tourists admiring a Monet, I spot Dmitri Volkov, my father's former enforcer. The man who taught me how to shoot, to fight, to survive. My pulse hammers against my throat as memories flood back. Lori's eyes are empathetic, her voice soft. What's wrong? I need to step away for a moment. I keep my voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through my veins. Stay here and enjoy the art. She searches my face, concern clouding her features. Alexander, trust me. I brush my thumb across her knuckles. 5 minutes. That's all I need. Promise me you're not walking into trouble. Old friend from school, nothing more. I can barely stomach the lie, but it's better than the truth. Look at the way the artist captured the light on the water. Notice how the brush strokes. Don't change the subject. She crosses her arms. 5 minutes? 5 minutes. I kiss her temple. Then we'll get lunch at that cafe you spotted earlier. Her eyes follow me as I weave through the crowd. Dmitri hasn't moved, still studying a painting with calculated intensity. As I approach, his shoulders tense. He knows I'm here. Alexander. He doesn't turn around. I wondered when you'd notice me. What are you doing in my city, Dmitri? Your city? Now he faces me, a cold smile playing on his lips. Some might disagree with that claim. The cold steel of my concealed weapon presses against my ribs. I won't ask twice. She's lovely, your nurse. Dimitri's eyes flick past me, to where Lori stands admiring a Dega. Such healing hands. The way she patched you up after that unfortunate incident. Very skilled. My jaw tightens. Leave her out of this. But she's already in it, isn't she? He steps closer, pretending to study the painting. Does she know about Kiev? About what really happened to the Petrov family? That's ancient history. Is it? His smile doesn't reach his eyes. The daughter still lives. Still remembers her father's screams. What would your sweet Lori think if she knew the truth about that night? The muscle in my cheek twitches. I want to wrap my hands around his throat, but we're surrounded by tourists, security cameras tracking every move. You were there too, Dmitri. Your hands aren't clean. True. He straightens his cufflinks. But I never pretended to be anything else. I never tried to play house with a woman who thinks she's dating a legitimate businessman. What do you want? The boss needs a favor. One last job. He pats my shoulder, the gesture anything but friendly. For old time's sake. Unless you'd prefer, I have a chat with your lovely nurse about your extracurricular activities. Lori knows everything about me. I snap back. There's nothing for you to tell. Sure she does. You have until tomorrow to decide, Dmitri says. Choose wisely, Alexander. Some secrets are better left buried. I return to Lori, forcing my lips into what I hope passes for a casual smile. My hands are still trembling from the encounter, so I shove them into my pockets. Everything okay? Lori's eyes search my face, her brow furrowed. Of course, just catching up on old times. My mouth feels fuzzy, an indicator that I'm terrible at lying. Old times? She crosses her arms. That didn't look like a friendly chat to me. What do you mean? Your shoulders were rigid the whole time, and that man... She glances in Dmitri's direction, but he's already gone. He kept looking at me while talking to you. You're imagining things. I guide her toward another painting, desperate to change the subject. Have you seen this one? It's a masterpiece of... Alexander. Her voice is soft but firm. Stop changing the subject. What's really going on? The concern in her eyes brings up a maelstrom of emotions. I want to tell her everything. About Dmitri. About Kiev. About the blood on my hands. It's complicated. The past seems to be following you around lately. Can we just... I squeeze her hand. Can we just enjoy the art? Please. She studies me for a long moment, and I see the struggle in her eyes. The nurse in her wanting to heal, to understand, to help. But she nods, though her shoulders remain tense. For now, she says. But we're not done talking about this. I pull her close, kissing her lightly, knowing that soon I might not have the right to such intimacy. Thank you. I watch Lori as we walk back to our hotel, awestruck by her effortless beauty. My phone chimes, another message from Dmitri. I delete it without reading. The choice tears at my insides. Take the job and become the monster I fought to leave behind, or refuse and watch Dmitri destroy everything I hold dear. Either way, I lose her. She reaches for my hand as we fall into step together. What's up? Just thinking. About your friend from the museum? The one who wasn't really a friend? My silence answers for me. The truth burns my insides. Some things can't be fixed, Lori. Some choices follow you forever. Only if you let them. Her eyes lock with mine, unflinching. You're not dealing with this alone anymore. Her words hit me like a physical blow. I've spent so long running from my past, building walls to protect others from it. From me. But those same walls are crushing me, threatening to destroy the one real thing I found. I take her hand, caressing her knuckles. The choice crystallizes in my mind. I can keep running, keep hiding behind half-truths and deflections, until Dmitri or someone like him tears it all down. Or I can trust in what we've built, in her strength to handle the truth. There are things I need to tell you. My voice comes out rough. About Kiev. About who I really am. She squeezes my hand. Whenever you're ready. Chapter 11. Alexander. Back in our hotel room, I pace while Lori takes a shower. The water runs in a steady stream, masking my footsteps as I check the windows, the doors, even under the bed. Old habits die hard. My phone lights up with another message from Dmitri. Delete. "The water pressure here is amazing!" Lori calls out. "You should try it!" I grunt in response, already pulling up flight schedules on my laptop. There's a red-eye to New York tonight, early enough to get her away from here, from them, from me. The bathroom door opens in a cloud of steam, the warm air carrying the scent of hotel shampoo. Lori emerges wrapped in a fluffy white robe, her hair twisted in a towel, dark skin glowing from the hot shower. "What are you doing?" "Checking our options." I stare at the screen, refusing to look at her. The blue light from the laptop casts shadows across the room. "There's a flight tonight." "Tonight." She drops onto the bed beside me, the mattress dipping slightly under her weight, her freshly showered scent mingling with the sterile hotel air. "But we still have 3 days left. We haven't even seen the Winter Palace yet." "The palace? Where Dimitri's men will be waiting, no doubt. Where they've probably already stationed lookouts, knowing my habits, my weaknesses, knowing exactly how I'd want to show her the gilded halls and Baroque architecture I'd grown up admiring. Plans change. Because of your friend from the museum? He's not my friend." My words are razor sharp, and I see her wince at my tone, making me hate myself a little more. My fingers tighten on the laptop's edge until my knuckles turn white, the frame creaking under the pressure. I want to break something, anything to release this building tension. "Who is he?" Her voice is gentle, concerned, everything I don't deserve right now. I close the laptop with more force than necessary, the snap echoing in the quiet room. Someone who shouldn't know where I am. Someone who could destroy everything I've built, everything I'm trying to protect. Alexander. She places her hand on my arm, her touch gentle but insistent. The warmth burns through my sleeve, a reminder of everything I stand to lose. "Talk to me." I can't. I stand, putting distance between us. We need to leave, tonight. Running away won't solve anything. This isn't about solving. It's about keeping you safe. Safe from what? The genuine concern in her voice makes my chest ache. I want to tell her everything, but the truth would only put her in more danger. Better to end this now, while I still can. "I'll book the tickets," I say, reaching for my phone. Lori's fingers wrap around my wrist, and with surprising strength she pulls me down beside her on the bed. The mattress dips, and I catch a whiff of her jasmine shampoo. "You're not booking anything." Her hand slides up my arm. "We're staying right here." "Lori, no. I've watched you check exits and jump at shadows since we got here. That's not living, Alex." The use of my nickname, so casual, so intimate, catches me off guard. "You don't understand what's at stake." "Then help me understand." She shifts closer, her robe rustling against the sheets. Because from where I'm sitting, I see a man who's letting fear control his life. It's not fear, it's reality. The reality is, you're here, with me, in one of the most beautiful cities in the world, and instead of enjoying it, you're planning our escape. Her fingers find mine, intertwining. The simple touch anchors me, making it harder to maintain my resolve. This is different. Is it? Because it looks like you're choosing to run instead of facing whatever's haunting you. My jaw twitches. I'm trying to protect you. And who's protecting you? She cups my face, forcing me to meet her eyes. Let me in, Alex. Let me help. The sensation of her palm against my cheek melts something inside me. I don't know how. Start by staying. Right here. With me. Her words strip away my defenses, leaving me raw and exposed. But as I look at her, really look at her, I see strength where I expected fear, determination where I thought I'd find doubt. Okay, I whisper, surrendering to her touch. Okay. Lori sighs, leaning back on her elbows. Her closeness nearly undoes me. The discomfort of her expectant silence pushes the words from my chest. I lay back against the mattress, propping myself up on an elbow so I can see her. I was just a kid when they made me prove my loyalty. My hands clench into fists, muscle memory of that night making my knuckles ache. They brought in this man. Said he'd stolen from us. Lori sits perfectly still beside me, her presence steady despite the darkness of what I'm about to reveal. They handed me brass knuckles, told me to make an example. The memory floods back, the dank basement, the single light bulb swinging overhead. I hesitated. My father backhanded me across the face, told me to be a man. "Oh my God, you didn't have a choice," Lori whispers. "I did. I could have walked away." My voice cracks, but I wanted to prove myself. So I put on those brass knuckles, and I beat that man until my arms gave out. Till his face was... I swallow hard, until I couldn't recognize him anymore. Did he survive? Barely. They dumped him at a hospital 3 towns over. The shame burns in my throat. I threw up afterward, but my father, he was proud. Said I'd finally become a real Popov. Lori leans forward, kissing my forehead gently. "That's not who you are anymore. Isn't it? The things I've done since then." My words are sour in my mouth. That night was just the beginning. Every time I close my eyes, I see their faces. The people I've hurt. The lives I've ruined. Lori's fingers tighten around mine. The acceptance in her touch terrifies me more than any threat I've faced. "You were a child," she says, "forced into violence by the people who should have protected you. That doesn't excuse what I became, the things I've done." I pull my hand away, but she catches it again. "No, it doesn't. But you're trying to change. I see that every day." My chest constricts. You don't know what they'll do if they find out about you. About us. I'm not afraid. You should be. I sit up, ruffling my hair. These people, they don't just kill you. They destroy everything you love first, make you watch. Then we'll face them together. The certainty in her voice makes me want to believe her, but I've seen what happens to people who dare to hope. It's not that simple. Nothing worth fighting for ever is. She shifts closer, her robe rustling against the sheets. You think I don't know the risks? I've seen the scars on your body. I've stitched up your men. I choose to stay anyway. Her words hit like a punch to the gut. I don't deserve this loyalty, this unwavering faith. But God help me, I want it. Want her. Even knowing it could get us both killed. Lori. My voice breaks on her name. I'm not going anywhere. She cups my face again, and I surrender to her caress despite myself. So stop trying to push me away. The war inside me rages. Protect her by leaving, or protect her by staying close. Either way, I'm gambling with her life. And that thought terrifies me more than anything my father ever did. You won't know what hit you, baby. I'm going to take you, break you, and make you mine. And when I'm done, you're...
Now hold on just a minute.
What?
I got something to say.
What's the meaning of this?
Now you may be some fine-looking white boy,
Got that right, baby. It takes hard work.
and you might got the money,
Fat stacks, baby, to spoil you with.
but that doesn't mean I'm going to give it up to you without a fight.
A fight?
You want some limp wilting flowers? Go to historical romance, baby. But you want sassy and spicy strong black queens that tame their alpha male bad boys?
I think our listeners do.
Then you go on and look at Miss Tyla's Bougie Brides and Billionaires audio bundle.
50 hours of me whispering the most romantic things in your ears. Fake marriages, alpha male billionaires, strong black women, steamy scenes that will make your eyes roll back. And everything wrapped up in a happily ever after that will put you in an afterglow.
Use code SAVE40 to get 40% off this bundle and any other digital product in Miss Tyla's store.
Unabridged and uncut.
Just like you?
You're gonna have to find out.
Tyla Walker Romances. Escape your life with sassy romance. Chapter 12. Lori. Alexander's words hang in the air, heavy with the reality of his confession. The dim hotel room light casts shadows across his face as he sits rigidly on the edge of the bed, hands clasped together so tightly his knuckles have gone white. I sit up, shifting so that I'm facing him head on. Look at me. His eyes meet mine, filled with a vulnerability I've never seen before. The usual confident mask has crumbled, leaving raw pain exposed. That man you were, the one who did those things, he's not who you are now. How can you be so sure? His voice cracks. The things I've done. Because I see you, Alexander. Every day at the hospital, I watch people at their worst moments. I know the difference between someone who enjoys causing pain and someone who carries it. He pulls away, pacing near the window. You make it sound so simple. It's not simple at all, but you chose to walk away from that life. That choice, that's what defines you. I wanted to tell you before. He turns back to me, moonlight silvering his profile. I was afraid that I'd run. I put my hand on his shoulder, turning him back to face me. I'm still here. I hear a sharp intake of his breath as I touch his face. Under my fingers, I feel the tension in his jaw slowly release. You are the bravest man I know, I whisper. Not because you've never done wrong, but because you fought to become better. He wraps his arms around me, burying his face in my hair. I feel the tremor that runs through him, the years of carried guilt beginning to crack. I don't deserve you, he murmurs. Good thing that's not for you to decide. Alexander's embrace loosens, and he leans back to look at me. The moonlight streaming through our hotel window catches the silver threads in his dark hair. You make it sound so easy to leave the past behind. Not easy, worth it. Every day at the hospital, I see people making choices. Some choose to heal, others let their wounds define them. He smiles softly, causing my insides to flutter. And which am I? You're healing. Look how far you've come. Legitimate businesses. Helping Jacob. Protecting people instead of hurting them. The things I did, though, his jaw clenches. That blood is still on my hands. You know what I learned working trauma? Sometimes the worst injuries leave the deepest scars, but they also make us stronger where we heal. A whisper of a smile touches his lips. Is that your professional medical opinion? That's my I've seen you with your guard down opinion. I reach up and playfully squeeze his cheeks. The man who plans Valentine's surprises and makes his friends laugh isn't pretending. That's the real you. And if my past catches up with us, then we'll take it as it comes. I rest my head against his shoulder, feeling his tension slowly release. Your past shaped you, but it doesn't own you, not anymore. He presses a kiss to my forehead. How did I get so lucky? Must be my excellent bedside manner. His low chuckle vibrates through me, among other qualities. The robe wrapped around me feels like a whisper against my skin, a thin barrier that does nothing to quell the heat building between us. Alexander's eyes drink me in, the fire of his gaze a tangible force that sets my pulse racing. I see the shift in him, the vulnerability that was there moments ago, hardening into something fierce and focused. And that's where we're going to put a pause on pleasure.
It looks like the rest of this chapter is just too naughty to put on the air.
As much as we'd love to share every little detail, we've got to stick to this platform's guidelines to keep these free audiobooks coming.
They've got some rules about what we can show, and we wouldn't want to risk losing the chance to bring you more content.
As frustrating as it is to build the tension only to be interrupted, Miss Tyla always knows how to make it up to you.
You can find the full, uncut scene over at TylaWalker.com.
With an entire library of unabridged audiobooks and ebooks, Miss Tyla's collection is waiting for you.
And if you use code SAVE40, you'll get 40% off any digital product, even on bundles that are already discounted.
So don't let the fun stop here. Head over to TylaWalker.com and treat yourself with Miss Tyla.
Chapter 13. Alexander.
I hate to put a stop to a good time, but it looks like we've hit this platform's limit for spiciness.
This platform's got some rules we have to play by if we want to keep giving you these stories for free.
And trust me, this scene isn't something you want to miss.
While we can't get into all the details here, you can still dive into the full, uncut version at TylaWalker.com.
Miss Tyla has an entire collection of unabridged audiobooks and ebooks waiting for you.
And the best part? You can treat yourself with 40% off when you use the code SAVE40.
That's right. You'll save on any digital product, even bundles that are already discounted.
Miss Tyla would never let anyone feel the kind of disappointment you must be feeling right now.
So why wait? Treat yourself with Miss Tyla.
I draw Lori closer to me as she drifts in and out of consciousness, her breath steady against me. The warmth of her body seeps into mine, chasing away the perpetual chill that's haunted me since childhood. Her presence grounds me in a way nothing else has. "You're thinking too loud," she murmurs, her voice thick with sleep. "Just thinking about you. About how you see right through me." She shifts, propping herself up on an elbow to look at me. Even half asleep, her eyes hold that penetrating wisdom that first captured my attention. And what exactly do I see? Everything. The darkness, the light, the man I was, the one I'm trying to be. My hand cups her cheek, thumb brushing across her soft skin. "You make me believe I can be better." "You already are better," she kisses my palm. "The fact that you want to change, that you're fighting for it, that's what matters." The conviction in her voice wraps around my heart. For years I've carried my past like a stone around my neck, drowning in the guilt of what I've done. But here with Lori, I can breathe. "I don't deserve you," I whisper. "That's not for you to decide." She traces the scar on my breastbone, her touch feather-light. "I choose you, Alexander, past, present, and whatever comes next." For the first time in longer than I can remember, hope blooms in my chest, fragile but persistent, like the first spring flower pushing through snow. The road ahead won't be easy. There are still threats to face, demons to conquer. But with Lori by my side, I'm starting to believe in possibilities I'd long since abandoned. I watch Lori's chest rise and fall in the soft lamplight, her body curled against mine like she belongs there. Her fingers rest right over my heart, as if even in sleep she's keeping me tethered to this moment, to her. The gravity of everything I've confessed tonight presses down on me, yet somehow feels lighter for having shared it. Her acceptance, her unwavering support. It's more than I deserve, more than I ever expected to find. Sleep begins to tug at my consciousness. The man from the museum flashes through my mind, his veiled threats echoing in my thoughts. My arm tightens around Lori instinctively. She murmurs, stirring slightly. "Nothing, Mishka, sleep." She nuzzles closer, her breath warm against my skin. "What are you mulling over now?" "Just about how much I love you." The words slip out before I can catch them, but I find I don't want to take them back. Her lips curve into a smile against my skin. "Love you too," she whispers, already drifting back to sleep. I press a kiss to her forehead, breathing in the subtle scent of her skin. The familiar weight of my Glock rests in the nightstand drawer within easy reach. I've spent years protecting my interests, my territory, my power. But this, Protecting her feels different. Essential. Like breathing. Anyone who threatens her will learn exactly why the Popov name still commands respect in these parts. I may be trying to leave that life behind, but I'll use every resource, every connection, every brutal lesson I've learned to keep her safe. I surrender to fatigue, letting her steady breathing lull me toward sleep. Whatever comes next, she won't face it alone. I'll make sure of that.
Chapter 14. Lori, an envelope slides under our hotel door. It's cream-colored paper, embossed with a gold leaf. I pick it up, running my fingers over the intricate design. What's this? I turn it over in my hands. Alexander emerges from the bathroom, towel drying his hair. His eyes sparkle with mischief. Open it. Always the shyster, aren't you? The seal breaks with a satisfying crack. Inside, an invitation printed on thick cardstock takes my breath away. What is this? A Valentine's ball? I thought you might enjoy experiencing a night out. He comes up behind me, wrapping his arms around my waist. Plus, I had a feeling you'd look stunning in a ball gown. You're serious? I spin in his arms, clutching the invitation. But I don't have anything to wear to something this formal. Already taken care of. He nods toward the closet. Check inside. My heart racing, I open the doors. A gorgeous red gown hangs there, its gossamer fabric catching the light. Alexander, try it on. I reach out to touch the silk. How did you even get this? I have some connections. He kisses my neck. And relationships with the best designers around. This is... The words catch as I examine the intricate beading. This is too much. Nothing is too good for you. His hands slide down my arms. Especially not on Valentine's Day. A real ball. I can't believe I'm in this moment with him. I should warn you, these balls tend to be quite different from what you might expect. More drinking for one thing. His low chuckle vibrates against my skin. And significantly more intense dancing. You're going to have to teach me. With pleasure. He spins me around, pulling me into a waltz position. Lesson 1 starts now. A few short hours later, the gilded ballroom takes my breath away. Hundreds of crystal teardrops cascade from the massive chandelier overhead, scattering light like falling stars across the marble floor. Alexander leads me through the crowd, his hand steady at the small of my back. You're trembling, he whispers. It's just overwhelming. In the best way, my red gown swishes against the floor as we move. I feel like I've stepped into another century. You outshine every woman here. His fingers intertwine with mine as he guides me into position. Ready? The orchestra strikes up a waltz, and Alexander sweeps me into the dance. My heart pounds as we glide across the floor. My feet following the steps he taught me earlier. You're a natural. His smile reaches his eyes, softening the sharp angles of his face. I have an excellent teacher. The room spins around us in a blur of gold and crystal. Though I'm pretty sure you didn't teach me this move in our lesson. He lifts me in a graceful turn that makes my stomach flutter. Improvisation is key in dancing. Other couples twirl around us, but in this moment, they might as well be shadows. Alexander's touch anchors me as we move together, the music flowing through us like wine. Look up, he murmurs. I tilt my head back. Through the chandelier's prismatic light, painted cherubs dance across the domed ceiling, their faces glowing in the golden illumination. It's magical. The words come out breathless. You're magical. He draws me closer, his warmth seeping through the silk of my dress. Your eyes capture every bit of light in this room. The music swells, and Alexander guides us through another turn. My dress billows out like a crimson cloud, and I feel weightless. As the dance ends, I'm still floating, hardly able to believe that I'm experiencing life like this. Come with me. The winter air nips at my exposed shoulders as Alexander leads me into the gardens. Snow dusts the carefully manicured hedges, glittering under strings of fairy lights. My heels crunch on the gravel path. Here. Alexander shrugs off his jacket and drapes it over my shoulders. The fabric carries his warmth and that distinctive scent of his cologne. Such a gentleman. I snuggle into the jacket, though I suspect you just wanted an excuse to get me alone out here. Guilty as charged, his thumb traces my jawline. The way you were dancing in there, I needed a moment to catch my breath. Me? You're the one who swept me off my feet, literally. I lean against a marble balustrade, taking in the magnificent view of the illuminated palace grounds. I never imagined I'd experience anything like this. A real ball. Dancing in a freaking palace. You deserve all of it and more. A few months ago, I was just a nurse working double shifts, trying to keep my head above water. Now, look at me. I gesture at my gown. You've shown me a whole different world. You've shown me a different world, too. His voice grows soft. One where I can be more than my past. Speaking of showing, I tug him closer by his bow tie. You never told me you could dance like that. A proper Russian upbringing includes extensive dance lessons, though I never enjoyed them until tonight. What changed? The partner. He pulls me into his arms, and we sway gently to the faint music drifting from inside. Everything's different with you, Lori. The tenderness in his voice makes my chest flutter. Thank you for sharing all this with me. Your past, your friends, your world. Thank you for accepting all of it, for accepting me. Alexander's lips brush against mine, soft and warm, despite the chill in the air. His hands cup my face as he deepens the kiss, and I melt into him, savoring the contrast between the crisp night and his embrace. A sharp intake of his breath breaks our moment. Alexander tenses, his fingers digging into my waist. His eyes fix on something behind me, narrowing dangerously. What is it? I whisper. But he's already shifting, positioning himself between me and whatever he's seen. Stay close to me. His voice drops so low I barely catch the words. Through the crystalline winter air, footsteps crunch on the gravel path. Alexander's hand finds mine, squeezing gently. We should head back inside. The warmth has vanished from his tone, replaced by steel. Alexander. Now. He guides me toward the entrance. His movements deliberate and controlled. Don't look back. But I do. Over my shoulder, I glimpse a figure standing in the shadows of a snow-laden hedge. The lights cast just enough illumination to reveal the gleam of something metallic in their hand. My heart pounds against my ribs. The magical evening shattering like ice. Alexander's jacket still drapes over my shoulders, but it no longer feels like protection. It feels like a target. Who is that? I manage to ask as we reach the stairs. Someone who shouldn't be here. Alexander's jaw clenches. Someone who's about to deeply regret their choice of evening entertainment. The music from the ballroom spills out into the night. A waltz that now seems discordantly cheerful. Alexander's hand presses against my back, urgent but gentle, guiding me toward the door. The marble steps feel treacherous under my heels as Alexander hurries me back inside. My fairy tale gown whispers against the stone, a sound that should be romantic, but now sets my nerves on edge. Keep walking. Alexander's voice carries none of the tenderness from moments ago. Act natural. Natural? With someone pointing a gun at us? The words come out sharper than intended. Shh. His grip tightens on my waist. Just smile. We're having a wonderful evening at a ball. The gilded doors swing open, spilling warmth and music over us. Couples still twirl across the floor, oblivious to the danger lurking in the garden. I fight my hands as I smooth down my dress. Dance with me. Alexander pulls me onto the floor before I can protest. Are you serious? Very. His eyes scan the room as he guides me through the steps. We need to blend in while I figure out our exit strategy. The waltz feels mechanical now. Nothing like our earlier dance. Alexander's shoulders are rigid under my hands, his jaw clenched. Who was that? I whisper against his chest. Someone who shouldn't know I'm here. He executes a perfect turn, using it to survey the ballroom's exits. Someone who is going to make a lot of people very unhappy when they learn about this breach of territory. The crystal chandelier sparkles overhead, but its magic has dimmed. Even the cherubs on the ceiling seem to mock our situation now. So much for our Valentine's Day fairy tale. The night's not over yet. Alexander's eyes lock with mine. And I promise you, I won't let anyone hurt you. But as we move across the floor, I can't shake the feeling that the man in the garden was just the beginning. Alexander's world presses in around us, threatening to shatter our carefully constructed bubble of happiness. Chapter 15. Lori, Alexander guides me through the crowd, his hand firm against my arm. The buffet table stretches before us, laden with delicacies I can no longer appreciate. My stomach churns with anxiety. Stay here. He adjusts his cufflinks, a nervous habit I've noticed over our time together, the platinum catching the light as his fingers work the metal. It's his way of centering himself before something unpleasant. I need to use the restroom. Alex, my voice catches, heavy with unspoken concern. Just stay by the food. Talk to people. Smile. His eyes soften for a moment, the hard edge of his businessman persona melting away briefly. You look beautiful tonight. Everyone should see that. The compliment, delivered in his deep voice, sends an unwanted flutter through my chest. I reach for his sleeve, my fingers brushing against the expensive fabric. Don't do anything reckless. The words come out more pleading than I'd intended. Me? Never. He grins before he turns away, weaving through the crowd with practiced ease, his broad shoulders creating a path through the sea of designer gowns and tuxedos. I watch him disappear down the hallway, my fingers clenching around my champagne glass. The crystal stem feels fragile in my grip, much like this evening's illusion of safety. Couples swirl past me in their finery, lost in their carefree revelry, while my eyes remain fixed on that darkened corridor. Every shadow seems to hold a threat, and the weight of what I know about Alexander's true business makes the champagne taste bitter in my mouth. A waiter offers me caviar. I decline with a practiced smile, but my attention never wavers from the hallway where Alexander vanished. My medical training kicks in as I count the seconds, monitoring time like I would a patient's vital signs. 1 minute passes. 2, 3. The music swells, but I catch snippets of raised voices from the direction of the restrooms. My heart pounds against my ribs, keeping time with the orchestra's rhythm. I set down my glass, no longer trusting my trembling hands to hold it. 4 minutes now. The crowd shifts, blocking my view of the hallway. I edge along the buffet table, trying to maintain my sightline while following Alexander's instructions to stay put. A woman compliments my dress. I thank her automatically, my mind focused entirely on that dark corridor and what might be happening there. I slip through the crowd, my heels clicking softly against the marble floor. The hallway's shadows stretch long, but I can make out Alexander's broad shoulders, tense beneath his tailored jacket. He stands toe-to-toe with the shorter man, whose smile reminds me of a scalpel precise and potentially deadly. My silk dress whispers against the wall as I position myself beside Alexander, sliding my hand into his. His fingers tighten around mine reflexively. Ah, the lovely nurse. The stranger's accent is thicker than Alexander's, rolling his R's in a way that sends an involuntary shiver across my spine. His teeth gleam like polished ivory in the dim light, predatory and sharp. Has our boy told you about Kiev? Don't. Alexander's warning comes out as a growl, and I feel the tension ripple through his arm, where our hands connect. I lift my chin, drawing strength from Alexander's solid presence beside me. Actually, he's told me everything. Everything? The man's eyebrows rise, his expression a mixture of amusement and disbelief that makes my skin crawl. About the warehouse? His ongoing business activities? Yes. I keep my voice steady, though my heart hammers against my ribs so hard, I worry they might see it through my dress. My nursing training kicks in, reminding me to breathe slowly, deliberately. The initiation, the beating, all of it. And yet, here you stand. He clicks his tongue, studying me like I'm some curious specimen under a microscope. Either you're very naive, or he's left out the best parts. Alexander steps forward, partially shielding me with his broad frame. The protective gesture isn't lost on me, nor on his antagonist. She knows who I was, and who I am now. That's all that matters. His voice carries the weight of absolute conviction, daring the other man to challenge him further. Such romance. The man's smile widens. But does she know about... I know enough. I cut him off, meeting his gaze. I've seen men like you, always trying to drag others back into darkness because you can't stand to see them escape it. The stranger's smile falters for just a moment. Alexander's hand squeezes mine, and I feel the slight tremor in his fingers that betrays his tension. You're either very brave or very foolish, little nurse. I'm neither. I tilt my head. I'm just tired of men like you thinking they can intimidate me with half-truths and innuendos. Either say what you came to say, or leave us to enjoy our evening. The man's smile turns cruel. Did he tell you about Marina? About her husband and their beautiful baby girl? Alexander's grip becomes painful. The muscles in his jaw work silently. Marina was the love of his life, but she chose another man. The stranger's eyes glitter with malice. So our Alexander here waited until their daughter was just 2 weeks old before he left that baby without a father. Left Marina a widow. My stomach drops. The chandelier light suddenly feels too bright, the music too loud. I look at Alexander, searching his face for denial, but find only shame. Such a waste of loyalty, the man continues, stepping closer. A beautiful woman like you deserves better than damaged goods. Why don't you let me show you what a real man can... My fist connects with his nose before I can think twice. The crack of cartilage is oddly satisfying, and warm blood sprays across my knuckles. He staggers backward, hands flying to his face. Screw you, you bastard, I say, shaking out my stinging hand. And screw you for thinking I'm the kind of woman who'd be impressed by your pathetic attempts at manipulation. The man gapes at me through bloody fingers, all pretense of sophistication gone. Alexander stands frozen beside me, his expression a mix of shock and something else. Pride, maybe, or wonder. The dim hallway light catches the sharp angles of his face as he watches the scene unfold. You crazy Finish that sentence. I cut him off, my voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through my veins. And I'll show you what else they taught me in the Bronx. Trust me, breaking your nose was just a warm-up. My knuckles throb, but the pain feels like a badge of honor. Blood drips from the man's nose onto his pristine white shirt, creating a constellation of crimson dots against the expensive fabric. I step closer to the bleeding man, my voice steady and clinical. If you ever attempt to lay a finger on me, Alexander will remove your hands from your body and send them home to your family. Alexander steps forward, his presence filling the narrow hallway, his subtle scent mingling with the metallic tang of blood. His voice drops to a dangerous whisper that sends chills through my spine. Leave. The man's eyes dart between us, his bravado crumbling. Blood continues to stain his collar. You're both insane, he mutters, pressing a handkerchief to his nose. Maybe, I shrug. But only one of us is bleeding right now. Would you like to make it worse? He backs away, bumping into the wall. His shoes squeak against the marble as he retreats, leaving a trail of blood droplets in his wake. The sound of his footsteps fades into the music from the ballroom.
Chapter 16. Alexander. Pride swells in my chest as I watch that bastard retreat, rubbing his nose. My Laurie, my fierce lioness, defending my honor. I step toward her, arms outstretched, ready to pull her close and kiss those beautiful knuckles that nearly laid out a man twice her size. But she steps back. The light in her eyes has dimmed, replaced by something I've never seen before, something that makes my blood run cold. I want to go back to the hotel. Her voice is quiet, controlled. Laurie. Now, Alexander. She wraps her arms around herself, her crimson ball gown suddenly looking too heavy on her shoulders. Let me explain. A wife and child. Her words cut through me like shards of ice. You told me everything about your past, everything. Except that tiny detail about destroying a family. It wasn't like that. My hands clench at my sides. You don't understand. You're right, I don't understand. She takes another step back, her heels clicking against the marble floor. And right now, I don't want to. Please, just take me back. The distance between us feels like an ocean, and for the first time since I've known her, I don't know how to bridge it. The passion of her previous fierce defense has evaporated, leaving only this crushing void where her trust used to be. I'll have the car brought around, I managed to say, my throat tight with unsaid words. The car ride back to our hotel stretches into an eternity. Laurie stares out the window, her reflection in the glass a mask of composure that tears at my insides. Her hands rest in her lap, still slightly red from the punch, a reminder of how fiercely she defended me mere minutes ago, before everything shattered. I opened my mouth several times to speak. But what can I say? The truth sounds hollow even in my head. Yes, I killed Marina's husband. Yes, I knew about their child. Yes, I kept it from you. The streets blur past, strings of lights reflecting off the freshly fallen snow. Laurie shifts in her seat, the fabric of her ball gown rustling. The sound screams in the silence between us. Do you want to stop somewhere? My voice comes out rougher than intended. Get some air? She doesn't answer, doesn't even look at me. The driver catches my eye in the rearview mirror. I give a slight shake of my head, and he keeps driving. My phone buzzes. Messages from my contacts warning me about Victor's presence in the city, about potential threats. All too late now. The damage is done, but not by violence. By truth. I reach for Laurie's hand, but she pulls away before I can touch her. The rejection stings worse than any bullet wound I've ever taken. The hotel appears ahead, its grand facade now looking more like a prison than the romantic getaway it was supposed to be. Laurie's shoulders tense as we pull up to the entrance. Even now, her body language speaks volumes while her lips remain sealed. This silence. It's worse than any argument, any accusation she could throw at me. Because in this silence, I hear every judgment, every disappointment, every crack in the foundation of trust we've built. The hotel room door clicks shut behind us. Laura yanks off her heels, tossing them aside with uncharacteristic carelessness. She spins to face me, her ball gown swishing around her legs. Really, Alexander? A baby? Her voice cracks. How could you keep that from me? I sink into the nearest chair, my bow tie suddenly too tight. Marina and we were young, stupid. I thought I was in love with her. That doesn't explain why you killed her husband. Of course, that bastard hadn't told her the whole truth, and now he was getting what he wanted from it. He was abusing her. I found out he'd been hitting her, even while she was pregnant. I confronted him, told him to leave her alone. He laughed in my face. Laurie's eyes narrow. So you beat him to death? I lost control. I remember that night so vividly. I didn't stop until someone pulled me off him. The baby was 3 months old at the time. What happened to them? Marina took the baby and disappeared. Last I heard, they were somewhere in Canada. I meet Laurie's gaze. I've had to live with that guilt every day since, knowing I could have handled it differently, knowing the child will grow up without a father because of me. Why didn't you tell me? Because I'm ashamed. The admission burns. It's the one thing I can never make right. One of many stains I can't wash away, no matter how much good I try to do now. Laurie stands there, arms crossed, her expression unreadable. The silence stretches between us like a chasm. I've been sending them money. The words tumble out haphazardly. Every month since that day, anonymous deposits into their account. Laurie's eyes widen. How much? Enough for the child to go to private school. For Marina to stay home with the baby those first few years. Medical bills, therapy, everything. I run my fingers through my hair. My contact tells me the kid's in high school now. Honor student. They don't know it's from you? No. Marina would never accept it if she knew. A bitter laugh escapes me. I routed it through shell companies, make it look like investment returns. They think they're lucky with stocks. Laurie sinks onto the bed beside me, her ball gown pooling around her feet. I have to make sure that they're taken care of. My throat tightens. It's not enough. It'll never be enough. But it's something. Alex. Laurie's hand covers mine, warm and steady. The first touch she's initiated since Victor's revelation. I can't undo what I did, but I can try to make it right even if they never know it's me. Laurie fidgets with the silk of her gown, her fingers tracing nervous patterns across the fabric, while her eyes fix on a point somewhere past my shoulder. The child, it's not... She swallows hard, the motion visible in her delicate throat. Is it yours? No. The word comes out sharp and immediate, almost offensive in its intensity. God, no. Marina and I never... I vehemently shake my head in a gesture that betrays more emotion than I'd like. We never had that kind of relationship. I loved her, yes, but from afar, like a lovesick teenager writing poetry he never delivers. The kind who watches from across the cafeteria, dreaming up conversations that will never happen. Her shoulders relax, tension melting away like snow in spring, and I can almost see the weight lifting from her frame. The corners of her mouth twitch upward, just slightly, a ghost of the smile I've grown to cherish. What? I ask, caught between amusement and curiosity at her subtle shift in demeanor. Nothing. She smooths her dress with deliberate care, but I catch the relief in her voice, clear as crystal. I needed to know, to understand where you stood with her. Her fingers still against the silk, and the air between us feels lighter somehow. The timing wouldn't even have worked. I was 19 when I met her, and she was already married with a baby on the way. I reach for her hand, and this time she lets me take it. That's part of why I lost it so badly when I found out what he was doing to her. She was trapped, pregnant, and terrified. And you wanted to be her knight in shining armor? More like her demon in a leather jacket. I trace circles on her palm with my thumb. I thought I was helping. Instead, I just made everything worse, just like I'm doing right now.
This is it, baby. This is what you can get me that'll make me happy.
You know I'll get you whatever you want. All you need to do is ask me and I'll give it to you.
This ain't just it. This is everything I could ever want.
Now I'm curious. What does a strong, sassy woman like yourself want so badly?
Baby, you know what I want?
Can't wait to hear.
The Big Baddie bundle from Tyla Walker. It has everything I need.
20 ebooks with over 1 million words of sassy romance and spice that'll keep you on your toes.
10 audiobooks containing over 60 hours of that seductive voice telling me naughty things all night long.
You don't need an audiobook for that, baby. Right here.
You may be fine and all, but no one tells it like the way Miss Tyla does. And I need her in my life.
The Big Baddie bundle is everything you need. You can get it for 80% off.
Go to TylaWalker.com to browse the bundles that earn you the best deals.
It's time you treat yourself. Because you deserve it.
Escape your life with Miss Tyla.
Chapter 17. Alexander. Lori rests her head on my chest, her ball gown rustling with the movement. What a night. I'm exhausted, Alex. The words hang between us, neither acceptance nor rejection. My chest tightens, but I nod, defaulting to what I know best, taking care of her. Let me run you a bath. I head to the ensuite, grateful for something concrete to do. The marble bathroom gleams under soft lighting as I adjust the water temperature. I know you've gotten quite fond of this jet tub. I add her favorite lavender bath oil, watching the water turn milky. The familiar scent fills the air, reminding me of quieter moments. There are fresh towels on the warmer. I stick my hand under the faucet one last time. Perfect temperature. And I can order some chamomile tea if you'd like. Lori appears in the doorway, already out of her gown and wrapped in the hotel's plush robe. Tea would be nice. I'll call down. I move past her, careful not to crowd her space. Take your time. Relax. Alex? Her voice stops me at the bathroom door. Yes. She opens her mouth, then closes it again. Shakes her head. Nothing. Just... thank you. I leave her to her bath, the sound of running water following me out. Whether she's thanking me for the bath or for finally telling her the truth, I'm not sure. Maybe both. Maybe neither. While I'm waiting for her, I straighten the already perfect bedding for the third time, smoothing non-existent wrinkles from the crisp white sheets. The sound of water draining from the tub sends my heart racing. I've faced down men with guns with more composure than this. The bathroom door opens. Steam billows out around Lori as she emerges, wrapped in the thick hotel robe, her skin glowing from the heat of the bath. Droplets of water trace paths down her neck. My feet carry me to her before I can think. I take her hands in mine, noting how small and delicate they feel despite their strength. These hands that heal, that struck a man to defend my honor when I least deserved it. The marble floor is hard against my knees as I sink down before her. I've never knelt for anyone, not for the bratva, not for threats, not for mercy, but for her. I know I don't deserve forgiveness, I say, my thumbs tracing circles on the backs of her hands. But everything I've done since that day has been to try to make it right, to be better, to be worthy of someone like you. Her fingers tighten around mine, but she doesn't pull away. The scent of lavender rises from her skin as I press my forehead against our joined hands. I've never lied to you about who I am now, I whisper. But I should have told you everything about who I was then. I'm so sorry. I struggle to breathe as I look up at her, still on my knees. If you leave, I will understand. But the thought of losing you... The words catch. It would destroy me. I deserve every second of that misery. Her robe rustles as she shifts her weight. The lavender scent from her bath surrounds us, a cruel reminder of simpler moments. I won't try to stop you if you want to go. Won't chase you. Won't beg. My hands try to memorize the feel of her skin beneath mine. You deserve better than a man who... Alex! No, please. Let me finish. I squeeze her hands gently. You deserve someone whose past won't keep haunting your present. Someone who doesn't put you in danger just by being near you. Someone whose love doesn't come with conditions and complications and old debts. The unforgiving marble floor bites into my knees, but I welcome the pain. It grounds me, keeps my voice steady. If you walk away, I'll spend the rest of my life trying to be half the man you believed I could be, even if you never see it. I tenderly kiss her knuckles. That would be my penance. Laurie's fingers slip from my grasp as she drops to her knees beside me on the marble floor. Her robe pools around her like water as she takes my face in her hands. Alex, look at me. I meet her eyes, finding none of the disgust or fear I'd braced myself for. I fell in love with you knowing you had a past. Did you think I was naive enough to believe it would all be pretty? Her hands frame my face. But from now on, no more surprises. No more finding things out from other people. I need to hear it all from you. Everything. The word comes out rough. All the nitty-gritty. The good, the bad, and the ugly. She presses her forehead to mine. I can handle your past, Alex. What I can't handle is being blindsided by it. My hands find her waist, steadying us both. I've spent so long trying to protect you from who I was. I don't need protection. I need honesty. She pulls back just enough to hold my gaze. Promise me, no more secrets. The memories of years of careful silence presses down on my chest. Some things, they're not just my secrets to tell. Then we'll figure out where those lines are. Together. Her fingers trace my jaw. But anything that affects us, anything that could come back to haunt us like tonight, I need to know. Deal? I capture her hand, lips to her palm. Deal. Good. She smiles, that bright, fearless smile that breaks down all my defenses. Now, get off this cold floor before your knees lock up, old man. I help Laurie to her feet, my heart pounding against my ribs. No more secrets, she said. The gravity of unspoken words squeezes within me until they spill out. In that case, there's something else you should know. I dance along her shoulder, memorizing the feel of her skin through the plush robe. I think I've loved you from the moment we met. The words hang between us, raw and exposed. I face down death without flinching, but this confession leaves me trembling. That day in the hospital when you were watching over Jacob, my thumb brushes her collarbone. You didn't look at me like I was a monster. You didn't trust me, sure. You saw past all of it. The violence, the reputation, everything. You just saw me. Laurie's breath is soft, her eyes widening. I forge ahead before courage fails me. Nobody had done that in years, maybe ever. My voice drops to barely above a whisper. I walked out of that hospital knowing my life would never be the same. And I was right. She reaches up, her fingers ghosting across my jaw. Alex. I tried to stay away. God knows I tried. I lean into her touch. But every time I saw you, every time you smiled, the words seemed stuck for a moment. You made me want to be better. Made me believe I could be. Her other hand comes up to brush my lips, and I close my eyes, letting myself be vulnerable in a way I haven't been since I was a child. That's why I had to tell you everything tonight, because loving you, it's the truest thing I've ever done, and I couldn't bear to taint that with lies anymore. I draw Laurie closer, her robe soft beneath my fingers. Her lips meet mine with a tenderness that steals my breath. I deepen the kiss, my hand sliding up to cradle the back of her neck. Alex, she moans against my mouth. Her fingers thread through my hair, nails scraping lightly against my scalp in a way that makes me shiver. I back her against the wall, careful not to move too fast. The fabric of her robe parts slightly under my exploring hands, revealing the smooth skin beneath. Her breath catches as I trail kisses down her neck, tasting the remnants of her bath water. "You're overdressed," she murmurs, tugging at my tie. Her nimble fingers make quick work of the knot, while I explore the sensitive spot behind her ear with my lips. "Trying to distract me?" I ask between kisses. "Is it working?" Her hands slip beneath my jacket, pushing it off my shoulders. I capture her mouth again, swallowing her soft gasp as I press closer. The heat between us builds with each passing moment, every touch electric. My shirt joins my jacket on the floor as Laurie's hands explore my chest, tracing old scars with familiar tenderness. The tie of her robe comes loose under my fingers. I pause, searching her eyes for any hesitation. Finding none, only desire that matches my own, I lean in to kiss her again, slower this time, savoring every delicious thought of what's to come.
Chapter 18. Laurie. "Alexander," I whisper, my voice breaking with emotion. His hands, strong and sure, cut my face, and I see the depth of his feeling reflected in his eyes. It's a vulnerability I've never seen before, a raw honesty that strips away any remaining barriers between us. I hate to put a stop to a good time, but it looks like we've hit this platform's limit for spiciness.
This platform's got some rules we have to play by if we want to keep giving you these stories for free.
And trust me, this scene isn't something you want to miss.
While we can't get into all the details here, you can still dive into the full, uncut version at TylaWalker.com.
Miss Tyla has an entire collection of unabridged audiobooks and ebooks waiting for you.
And the best part? You can treat yourself with 40% off when you use the code SAVE40.
That's right. You'll save on any digital product, even bundles that are already discounted.
Miss Tyla would never let anyone feel the kind of disappointment you must be feeling right now.
So why wait? Treat yourself with Miss Tyla. "I meant what I said, Laurie," he murmurs, his fingers caressing up and down my back. "I love you." I prop myself up on my elbow, looking down into his eyes. The vulnerability I see there takes my breath away. "I love you too, Alexander," I reply softly, my voice filled with wonder. More than I ever thought possible. And in this moment, all is right with the world. The past, with all its shadows and secrets, seems a lifetime away. Here in the sanctuary of Alexander's arms, I find a sense of peace and belonging I never knew I was searching for.
Chapter 19. Alexander. The sleigh glides across the pristine snow, each hoof beat creating a rhythmic crunch beneath us. Laurie snuggles closer into my side, her warmth seeping through our layers of winter clothing. Above us, ribbons of green and purple dance across the star-studded sky. "This is unreal," Laurie whispers, her breath visible in the cold air. "I never thought I'd see the northern lights." I tuck the thick fur blanket tighter around her shoulders. I wanted our last night here to be special. Mission accomplished. She tilts her head back, watching the aurora borealis shimmer. "Though you've made every night special." The bells on the horses' harnesses jingle as we round a bend in the snow-covered path. The sound mingles with the whisper of wind through the evergreens. "Look there." I point to where a fox darts across our path, its red coat stark against the white landscape. "This beats Times Square any day." Laurie's fingers find mine under the blanket. "I'm so grateful you shared your home with me. I credit you for making me brave enough to come back." My voice sounds emotional, even to me. "For making me brave enough to face everything." She faces me, her dark eyes reflecting the dancing lights above. "I love seeing this side of you, the man who arranges midnight sleigh rides and gets emotional under the northern lights. Only with you." I brush a snowflake from her cheek. Always with you. The horses slow as we approach a clearing, their breath steaming in the frigid air. Above us, the aurora intensifies, casting an ethereal glow across the pristine snow. The sleigh glides smoothly across the crisp landscape as I watch Laurie's face light up at each new wonder. Just months ago, I wouldn't have dared return here. Now, with her hand in mine, even the ghosts of my past seem less menacing. "Did you ever go sledding as a kid?" Laurie asks, breaking my reverie. "Down that hill right there." I point to a steep slope through the trees. "Broke my arm when I was 10. Father was furious, said it showed weakness." "And what did little Alexander do?" "Went right back up that hill the next winter." A smile forms at my lips. Some might call it stubborn. I call it brave. She squeezes my hand. "Like coming back here. Like letting me in." The aurora ripples overhead, painting her face in ethereal colors. Before Laurie, my world was sharp edges and shadows. She brought light to places I'd kept dark for decades. Where I saw monsters, she saw wounds that needed healing. "You know what I think?" She traces patterns on my palm. That 10-year-old boy who got back up. He's still in there. The one who wanted to do right before the world got complicated. My chest tightens. "How do you do that?" "Do what?" "See straight through to the truth of things. To the truth of me." She smiles, that knowing smile that first drew me in. Because I look with my heart, not just my eyes. The horse's hooves crunch through fresh snow as I pull her closer. With Laurie, I'm not just the sum of my mistakes. I'm the man who arranges midnight sleigh rides, the man who can hope for a brighter future again. Laurie gasps as a particularly bright wave of green light ripples across the sky, her fingers tightening around mine. The aurora reflects in her eyes, making them sparkle with an otherworldly glow. "It's like the sky is dancing just for us," she says, nestling deeper under the blankets. "Like nature's giving us her blessing." Maybe she is. I brush my lips against her temple. The cold nips at my exposed skin, but I barely notice it. Everything feels possible tonight. "Even a fresh start?" She shifts to face me, her expression soft yet searching. "With you? Yes." The truth of it hits me square in the chest. You make me believe I can be more than my mistakes. "You already are." She reaches up to trace my jaw with her fingertips. "Look at how far you've come, facing your past, sharing your truth with me. That takes real courage." Above us, the lights shift from green to purple, casting strange shadows across the sparkling snow. The horses stamp their feet, sending up small puffs of powder. "You know what this reminds me of?" Laurie's voice carries a hint of wonder. "Those stories about redemption, new chapters, like we're writing our own right now. Under these lights?" I pull her closer. "Seems fitting. Perfect, actually." She smiles up at me. A clean slate, painted across the sky. The aurora pulses again, as if in agreement, and Laurie's quiet laugh fills the space between us. In this moment, with her warmth against me and nature's light show overhead, I dare to believe in second chances. Laurie smiles as she turns to me. Her eyes reflect the dancing lights, creating galaxies within their depths. My heart thunders against my ribs as I lean down, drawn to her like a moth to flame. "You've changed everything," I whisper, my breath mingling with hers in the frigid air. "My whole world. For the better, I hope." Her fingers trail up my chest, coming to rest over my heart. In ways I never thought possible. I cup her face in my gloved hands. "You make me want to be worthy of this. Of you." She shakes her head, a soft smile playing at her lips. "No worries there." The horses stamp restlessly, their bells chiming in the stillness, but I barely notice. The universe has narrowed to this moment, This woman, this heartbeat suspended in time. I brush my thumb across her lower lip. I love you, Lori, with everything I am, everything I hope to be. I love you too. She rises on her tiptoes, closing the distance between us. All of you, past, present, and future. When our lips meet, it's gentle at first, a whisper of connection under the cosmic light show. Then she sighs into my mouth, and the tenderness transforms into something deeper. My arms encircle her waist as her fingers weave through my hair. The kiss tastes of promise and possibility, of second chances and new beginnings. The aurora pulses overhead, painting us in waves of neon blue and green as we seal our commitment under the vast Russian sky. In this moment, I'm not the man who ran from his past or the one who built walls around his heart. I'm simply hers, completely and without reservation. Breaking our kiss reluctantly, I rest my forehead against Lori's, the aurora's glow casting ethereal shadows across her face. Her breath mingles with mine in the frigid air. I want to give you everything. A real future, a safe home, a life without looking over our shoulders. Her smile outshines the aurora. As long as that future includes midnight sleigh rides and northern lights. I brush a snowflake from her cheek, and no more shadows between us. The certainty in my chest grows stronger with each word. This is right. This is what I've been moving toward since the moment she first walked into my life, bringing her light to my darkness.
Chapter 20. Lori. My keys jingle as I fumble with my purse, the hallway lights casting long shadows across the worn carpet. Alexander's footsteps echo behind me, weighted down with my overpacked suitcases. I told you I could manage those myself, I say, glancing back at him. And miss the chance to show off? Never. He sets down the bags with a dramatic grunt. Though I'm starting to think you packed bricks instead of clothes. I quicken my pace toward my door, but his long strides catch up easily. Race you. Oh, that's how you thank me for being your personal bellhop? His laugh bounces off the walls. Before I can reach my apartment, strong arms wrap around my waist, lifting me off my feet. My squeal of surprise turns into giggles as he spins me around. You know, he murmurs against my ear, his breath warm. If I was still the Mafia man I used to be, you'd be dead right now. Never turn your back on someone following you down a dark hallway. I twist in his arms to face him, jumping to wrap my legs around him. Well, it's a good thing you're my Mafia man then, isn't it? Alexander's eyes darken at my words, his grip tightening on my thighs where he holds me against him. The playfulness from moments ago shifts into something more intense, more primal. His thumb traces my bottom lip. Say that again. The command in his voice sends shivers through my core. My Mafia. Man. I emphasize each word, watching his control slip with each syllable. He crashes his lips against mine, and the force of it makes my head spin. His kiss is possessive, claiming like he's marking his territory. I match his intensity, my fingers gripping his shoulders as he presses me against the wall. The cool surface contrasts with his heat. His hands slide up my back, one tangling in my hair, while the other keeps me steady. I can feel his heart thundering against my own, matching its wild rhythm. Still wrapped around Alexander, I feel him shift to retrieve keys from my pocket. His lips never leave mine as he reaches past me, the key sliding home with practiced ease. The door swings open behind me, and he steps through with confident strides, using his foot to nudge our abandoned luggage inside. The door clicks shut, and my back meets the cool surface. Alexander's hands slide down to grip my thighs more securely, keeping me pinned between his solid warmth and the door. The contrast of temperatures sends a shiver through me. Cold? He murmurs against my lips. Not anymore. My fingers trace the strong line of his jaw. Though I'm starting to think you planned this whole dramatic entrance. His answering chuckle vibrates through my chest. What gave me away? The expert key work or the strategic luggage placement? The fact that you're still wearing your coat while I'm practically melting. I tug at his lapel for emphasis. An oversight I intend to correct. He captures my mouth again, this time slower, deeper, like we have all the time in the world. His tongue traces my bottom lip, and I open for him with a soft sigh. The kiss grows heated, and I arch against him, my legs tightening around his waist. The door creaks slightly as he presses closer, and I smile against his lips at the sound. Something funny? He asks between kisses. Just thinking about what my neighbors would say if they could see their quiet nurse now. Let them talk. His lips trail down my neck. I rather enjoy corrupting their innocent neighbor. And for the record, you're not so quiet when we get going. Alexander's steps are unhurried as he carries me through my apartment, his mouth never leaving mine. His hands slide under my shirt, tracing patterns on my skin that make me shiver. The cool marble counter sends a jolt through me as he sets me down, stepping between my legs. I missed this, he murmurs against my neck. Missed you. My fingers work at his tie, loosening it with practiced ease. We were only apart for the flight. Too long, in my opinion. His hands cup my face, thumbs stroking my cheeks as he pulls back to look at me. The intensity in his gaze makes my breath catch. Я тебя люблю. The Russian phrase rolls off his tongue like honey, and though I don't speak the language, I know exactly what those words mean. My heart swells as I pull him closer. I love you too. The words feel natural, right? Even when you're being dramatic about a few hours apart. He laughs softly, the sound vibrating against my collarbone where his lips have found a home. You make me dramatic. You make me. His hands slide down my sides, gripping my hips. You make me feel everything more intensely. Everything? I tease, wrapping one leg around him again to draw him closer. Everything. He captures my lips again, the kiss deep and consuming. When we break apart, both breathing heavily, he rests his forehead against my skin. My fingers trace the strong line of his jaw, feeling the slight stubble there. Show me. The shrill ring of my phone cuts through our heated moment. Alexander groans against my neck, his hands tightening on my skin. Don't answer it, he murmurs, lips trailing down my collarbone. It could be work. I reach for my phone on the counter, squinting at the unfamiliar number. I have to. You're still technically on vacation. His fingers dance up my spine, making it hard to focus. I press the answer button anyway, gently pushing his wandering hands away. Hello? This is a collect call from Kings County Correctional Facility. The robotic voice makes my blood run cold. Do you accept the charges? Alexander must feel me tense because he pulls back, his playful expression morphing into concern. His hands slide to my waist, steadying me as I grip the phone tighter. Lori, what's wrong? The automated voice repeats its question, waiting for my response. My throat feels dry as I press one échelle to accept the call, my free hand finding Alexander's for support. My heart pounds as I press the phone closer to my ear, my fingers trembling against the smooth surface. Hello? The word comes out shakier than I intend, hardly a whisper. Alexander's hands steady me on the counter, his warmth anchoring me to reality. His presence near me feels like both comfort and constraint. Static crackles through the line, followed by the distinctive echo of prison phones. That hollow, metallic sound that makes everything feel somehow more desperate and cold. A breath. Then a pause that seems to stretch into infinity. I struggle to regulate my own breathing. Hello, Lori? Is that you? The familiar voice pierces through the static, carrying with it a weight of desperation that makes my stomach clench. The familiar voice hits me like a physical blow. My free hand grips Alexander's forearm, needing something solid to hold on to. The romantic haze from moments ago evaporates, replaced by a cold wash of anxiety that prickles across my skin. Nyla? My voice cracks on her name. Alexander's eyes search my expression for understanding, but I barely register his interest. The world narrows to the sound of breathing on the other end of the line. Lori, where the hell have you been?
When Nyla Thomas agreed to a fake marriage, she wasn't expecting it to land her in jail.
Nyla Thomas, you are under arrest for the murders of Hilda and William Stone.
She wasn't expecting to find out the truth about her family.
You're adopted.
Marcus Swan is my father.
To get involved in crime.
The Sokolov family did this. They poisoned him.
And least of all, was she expecting to fall in love.
It's you, Nyla. It's always been you.
But now, everything is crumbling around her.
Interim CEO of Stone Hospital Group accused of murdering Hilda and William Stone to secure her position.
Alexander, you promised things would change.
They have. I'm in charge now.
No one knows who to believe.
Take the plea bargain.
I'm innocent. I thought you out of everyone would believe me.
Can you forgive her for killing our parents?
No one knows who to trust.
This is your fault. Did you ever think that Nyla would be just fine if she hadn't gotten involved with you?
I love her. I love her more than life itself.
Miss Thomas, the tests came back. There's a perfectly acceptable explanation for your condition.
And things are about to get a lot more complicated.